Hello and welcome back to GPVWC Superlights, and you join us at one of the truly great circuits here, nestled in the Ardennes in the southern part of Belgium. It is, of course, the circuit de Francorchamps, and as you can see, we've got some of that classic Ardennes weather to look forward to as well. The rain has been falling, and presenting another challenge for our drivers at the 11th round of the 2024 season. With Fabian and Jungbluth on the cameras, you join myself, Ross McIntyre, with Edward Hunter alongside me. Ed, great to have you here. As we can see, the rain is hammering it down, and when it rains at Spa, it really pours.
Indeed it does. I seem to remember last year in the Superlights round at Spa, we also had an almighty downpour with Dylan Fisher coming out on top on that occasion. Mainly because at the start it came down to a decision between Inters and Full Wets, and TR Motorsport, as they were known back then, now they're called AKA Hero, of course, went for the full wet tyres with both of their drivers, and Owen McGorgy in a sort of rare showing was outwitted on that occasion. But this season, different picture, but it's still Road to Formula, very much on top in both championships, leading with Lahu and Singh 1 and 2, and then Jack Mayer I think is about 7 points behind Sandeep Singh in the battle for second, with David Fardock a further 27 points adrift then. So that's really your picture in the Drivers' Championship. So there are a lot of close battles, a lot of substitute drivers as well that we're going to see in action today. And boy, have they picked a challenging round to sort of make the step up to Superlights, because the conditions, it's not going to get much more treacherous than this, especially at high speed. It's going to be so easy to just aquaplane off track. And find yourself meeting the barriers in a much undesirable way, let's say. So everyone's got to be on their toes, and you've got to make sure you get these laps in, because any mistake you make is going to be magnified tenfold in these conditions.
Absolutely. We have just got underway with our qualifying session. No one has set a lap time yet, but people are about to start their flying laps, as we can see there, just crossing the line. Of course, private qualifying session, as always, in GPVWC. In practice, the weather started off a little bit drier. Conditions got worse as time went on. So David Fiduk was 3 seconds clear of the pack in practice, just because he managed to get a banker lap in early doors, but it was still a 2-minute lap time. At the end of practice, we were seeing lap times around about the 2-minute 3, 2-minute 4 range. So that's your golden ticket. That's where you want to be if you want to be challenging at the front end of the grid. But of course, David Fiduk, we know he's quick, we know he's good in the wet. A race winner this season in Superlights as well, so don't count him out. But of course, the likes of Alex Laho, Sandeep Singh, the Rotor Formula guys, Stephen Lexau's been looking fast. Oliver Taras in the red Ven car this evening. He was looking pretty pacey in the practice session as well. It's all to play for here in qualifying. Sandeep, it says a purple first sector, but unfortunately, due to our factor's wonderful age, it comes up with a purple first sector for everyone on the timing screen before anyone set a lap, so we've got no idea how good that is. Let's watch him coming through the middle part of the circuit now, through Pouon. Of course, that'll be flat out in qualifying trim in the dry. In the wet, it's very much a tentatively easing the car through the left-hander, trying not to catch the curb on the outside, praying you don't aquaplane and hit a puddle, because if you lose it at Pouon, it is a one-way trip into the tyre barriers on the outside. We come now to the bottom end of the circuit, through Stavelo, and then blasting back up the hill on the run into Blanchimont and the bus stop. 57.551 was the time through the middle sector. Again, we've got no idea how good that is until
I can
you
tell
get
you,
to the end of lap one.
Because I'm looking at race.
Go ahead, Ed.
And in the first sector, he was half a second slower than his teammate Alex Lahu, who is setting purple sector. There he is, and those are true purples, by the way. In the middle sector, Lahu set a 56.8, which was again over half a set of 0.7 of a second quicker in the middle sector. So Lahu's absolutely flying out there. Let's see what this time is, because that's going to be the benchmark. Singh sets a 2-minute 06.1, but Lahu has absolutely demolished that, 204.8. And that is nearly half a second quicker than Stephen Lexau, himself a very, very tidy driver in the wet as well. Look out for David Vasserman. He's shown in the past that he's got very, very good car control in these conditions. Florian Gaia, that experience coming to the fore, 205.9. That's enough for fourth. Oh, and Taras, unfortunately, has absolutely destroyed the front end then coming out of Stavelo, I believe.
Yeah, 3 wheels on the wagon for Oliver Taras. Of course, if he can make it back to the pit lane, he is more than welcome to get some repairs and head out on track. As long as he does not hit the escape key on his keyboard, that will teleport him back to the pits, and that will be classed as a DNF, a retirement from this session. But looks like he's going to be able to make it back, despite her front left being absent on that car, but still 9 minutes left in this qualifying session. Of course, it is a long old lap here at Spa. You'd have less time to get a qualifying lap in. I mean, 2:04 the current pole time, as we see there, just coming through the campus corners and then through Stavelo. Alexander Ragota with a purple middle sector. This could be interesting from the Gallery 82 driver. He's been a driver who's been solid so far this season, but not whipped out anything truly spectacular. Maybe this is Ragota's time to shine. Look at the commitment coming into Blanchimont, running onto the Astro and the curbs in the wet conditions. Hard on the brakes into the bus stop now, tentatively eases the front end in, just trusting that the front tyres can find any sort of grip. Now blasting out of the final corner. What's it going to be? The rear end squirreling away. It's not going to be pole so far, but it's only 0.2 off, and 2 purple sectors as well. Great lap from Alexander Ragota there. Clearly a bit to work on in sector number 1. That'll be either coming through Radion or just losing time down the straight due to a higher downforce setup. And Alex Laho, as Remco de Joux, goes into P11 for Fusion Racing. But Alex Laho, he sets the early statement, says, "Come and catch me." Ragota, the nearest challenger. Stephen Lexau not far off either. Of course, conditions can, even in wet, in the wet in qualifying, should I say, conditions can change oh so quickly, especially here at Spa. If the rain stays as it is, the circuit could get a bit quicker as the cars start to kick water up and form a semi-dry line. But if the rain starts coming down even harder, these early qualifying laps could be absolutely crucial. We've not seen a few drivers out of the pits yet, though. Of course, we saw Oliver Taras having an incident. He didn't complete his early flying lap. We've not seen the likes of Dennis Urban, Koroshavin complete a lap yet. Lucas Thailand on course to complete it now. Doesn't look too competitive, though. who was already at 2:04 as he rounded the bus stop. It's going to be a 2:08, slots him into 15th and last of the runners who have set a time so far. Again, in the wet conditions, sometimes it's all about taking a gamble on when you go out. You need to pick the perfect moment for the track to be in the perfect conditions for you. If it starts raining, when you go out, your time's not going to be good enough. You should have gone out for a banker. Alternatively, you know, if you've waited and the track's dry, then you've struck gold and you could be setting a quicker lap time. As Jerry Van Bussel very close to the gravel coming through campers there. Tell you what, Ed, despite the conditions, these drivers are really, really pushing.
Well, I mean, they've got to, because there's only 7 minutes left in this session. And it's interesting, of course, those who set a banker lap, sort of 2:08, 2:09, 2:07, know that there's a lot more time to find with Lahoo, like 3 to 4 seconds faster. So you're going to see a little bit of field spread that will hopefully, fingers crossed, from the point of view of those low down, tighten up as the session goes on, as Wasserman sets a 56.5 purple middle sector, as Jerry Van Bussel just tiptoes through the bus stop, which is exactly what you have to do to make sure that you don't spin the wheels too much and just find the car facing the wrong way. It's so easy to embarrass yourself at low speed at Spa, but here comes Wasserman in the Chaos car. Is he about to get himself near to the first 2 rows of the grid? This could be a good lap for the Chaos driver.
Could be indeed. What can the German driver in the German car do on Belgian soil? Shortest run to the line and slots it into second place. Less than 1/10 of a second away from Alex Lahoo. 2 brilliant last sectors. Still a bit of time to find in sector number 1. But what a lap that is from David Wasserman. Provisionally puts him on the front row of the grid and within touching distance of the championship leader. Koroshavin, meanwhile, purple middle sector, very, very strong middle sector at that as well. What can the Alfa Sierra driver do? Again, shortest run to the line, rear end, desperately trying to find traction. He goes P3, 1/10.5 off. So I think the track is getting a little bit quicker now. We're seeing more and more drivers closing up to the back of Lahoo, who has not set a lap since that early banker. With just under 6 minutes left in this qualifying session. There is Lahoo, actually. He's back on a lap now. And, purple in sector 1. Yeah, track's definitely quicker. 3/10 up on his personal best is the Frenchman. What an opening sector that is. Spa, of course, a circuit where setup is so crucial, especially in the wet, because every sector is different. You've got sector 1 where it's all about straight line speed. You got to nail it out of rattle on, and then that big long Kemmel straight. Sector 2, very tight and twisty. And then sector 3, it's all about the high speed cornering. You can go so many ways with the setup here, especially in the wet. And in qualifying, that's when you find out if you've made the right decision. Even in the rain, the great equalizer, as they call it, the setup is crucial round here. Into campus goes Alex Lahoo. He was a second up in sector number 1, which is just ludicrous as he comes to sector number 2. He has been knocked off of the top spot by Tom van der Voort and Oliver Tarras. It's green in sector number 2 as well. So a good final sector should see Lahoo reclaiming that top spot. What a lap that was, though, from Tom van der Voort, 2:03.635. So we're into the 2:03s now. So track definitely getting quicker and quicker as time ebbs away. Into the bus stop goes Lahoo, with Sandeep Singh now rockets to pole position at 2:03.356. How does his teammate respond out of the bus stop? Foot to the floor, traction looks good, crosses the line, and it is a second clear once again. A 2:02.442 from the Frenchman. That is ridiculous.
It certainly was. I was also wondering if Oliver Tarras had fixed that damage, and I guess that 5th fastest time gives us our answer there, as Fabian goes just 8 tenths slower. I say just 8 tenths. In Superlights qualifying terms, that is a mountain time essentially, but Fabian nonetheless gets himself onto the front row, which is exactly what he would have been hoping for. Florian Geyer towards the line goes 5th fastest. There we go. So Chaos once again getting a car into the top 5. This is really going to come down to last driver over the line, isn't it, Ross?
I think it may well be. Track position could be crucial with 3.5 minutes left on the clock. Geyer rockets down into Eau Rouge. Of course, flat out in the dry. It'll be a bit of a confidence lift, at least in the wet, but looking very solid through there. David Fabian slotted into second place provisionally. Singh on another lap. Of course, part of the joy of the wet compound tyre, you can do just lap after lap after lap in qualifying if it suits you. The wet compound is harder than the inters or any of the dry compounds that we have. So you don't really run the risk of overheating, especially when it's this wet. So you should be all sorted and ready to go. Just for information, just in case it does potentially get dry at the end of the race, C4s, C3s and C2s are our compounds from soft to hard, but looks like it is going to be raining the whole way through. Can Sandeep Singh make it a Roads Formula 1-2 in qualifying as he comes into the bus stop? No, decides to abandon that lap. Must have been a mistake in the final sector, because sector 1 and 2 looking pretty strong, but he does have time for a final lap. If he is quick out of the pit lane, he's going to have to head straight back out. We've got 2 minutes and 15 on the clock. It's a 2:02 fastest lap time. Florian Gaia, meanwhile, through Stavalo. That's a purple middle sector for the Chaos driver, looking strong there. First sector a little bit down. Laho seems to have the measure of everybody in sector number 1. And I'll tell you another thing as well, Ed. It looks like Alex Laho, oh no, he has come back out actually, but he's left it very, very late. I wonder if Alex Laho may potentially not get another lap in.
Yeah, he's cutting it a bit fine, unless he's able to find somehow another couple of extra seconds on this outlap. It might be very, very tight crossing the line. Tom van der Voort goes purple in the middle sector. Florian Gaia towards the line, gets onto the front row, displaces David Feidock by 37 thousandths of a second. But here comes the drag racing car of Van der Voort then. Remember, he was up there early in the session, and having got a very, very late purple sector together as, oh dear, looks like he's hit some issue there, but that might have just been lag on our end. It looks to be okay from Tom van der Voort's end. Through the bus stop he goes, towards the line he goes, the rear complaining, just has to get the traction down, somehow saves it, and 4th position is his reward there. So Van der Voort maybe, oh, he was 3 thousandths of a second behind David Feidock, so it was literally just a bit greedy on the power at the end, and that cost him 3rd on the grid.
What a lap that is, though, from Tom van der Voort. Just unfortunate with that late error. But a driver who's had 1 podium to his name so far this season, and then unfortunately it's been a whole host of rather unspectacular, maybe looking to earn his way back onto the podium here at Spa. What can Vassman do? He will have time for another lap if he feels to push on after this one, but 2 green sectors. As again, look at the speed the cars are carrying through. Blanchimont into the bus stop we go. Try and get the rear end to stick as you turn it in. Then again on the traction, the tyres will be complaining, not enough grip, but looks straight enough as he comes to the line, goes into 4th and displaces David Feidock. The Chaos drivers are having an amazing evening so far. 10 seconds left on the clock. They sit P3 and 4. Feidock, though, is on a storming lap. Purple in the middle sector. What can he do? Just 1 set of turns to go through the bus stop chicane. Checkered flag waves. It is do or die time now. Can Feidock do anything as he pushes the car to the line? Yes! Oh! Yes, he does. It's pole position by 1/10 and a half. But Laho might be on a lap. Does Laho have anything to respond? David Feidock. Is he not on a lap? David Feidock set a late statement. Jack Mayer purple in the first sector now. It doesn't look like Alex Laho's on a lap. We'll get that confirmed for you. Currently, David Feidock on pole position. This could be very, very interesting, Jeff. Oh my goodness, Ed. It's all kicking off at the end of qualifying.
Yeah, and where does Belia go? He goes pole, and for Fusion, 201.8. It really is last man over the line. We thought that lap from Feidock was enough, but the Frenchman, Maxime Beaulieu, is now staring down the barrel of his first pole position in Superlights, unless Jack Mayer can snatch it away from him. Michel Galka for Gallery 82 goes 5th as well, and Van der Voort goes 3rd for Dre.
What a crazy qualifying session we've got on our hands. But Jack Mayer, the reigning FS1 champion, the back-to-back FS1 and FS2 champion, he's got 2 purple sectors to his name, and he is looking absolutely rapid as he flies through Blanchimont. 1 turn to go into the bus stop chicane. What can the Englishman do? Can he break Canadian hearts and demote Beaulieu from pole position? Rounds the final corner now, struggles to get the traction, but it looks okay. Jack Mayer to the line. What's it gonna be? It's gonna be pole position by 1 second and 6/10. Jack Mayer, oh my goodness, what a lap. Teammate Vincent Gutt, meanwhile, can he put himself further up the grid? And Taras into second as well. It's an English 1-2. Vincent Gutt comes to the line now. Can he push himself up? Sandeep Singh slots into 2nd place. Gutt into 5th. Championship leader Alex Laho. Can he take pole? Yes, he does! Alex Laho by 0.3 of a second at the death. The Frenchman has left it till the very, very last minute. But the championship leader with Jack Mayer setting the lap of the gods, and Laho snatches it away at the death. Oh my goodness me. What a qualifying session we have just been witness to. Spa has sent us something from above. Alex Laho deals back pole position from Jack Mayer. Sandeep Singh in P3 with Oliver Tarras in P4. Maxime Bulio with their qualifying of the season into P5. Van Bussel in 6th as well. Oh my goodness me. That was brilliant. Alex Laho, though, talk about leaving it last minute, Ed.
2 minutes exactly as well. So yeah, he must have just crossed the line a couple of seconds before the checkered flag came out and set a lap time that to 3 decimal places exactly 2 minutes in length. But that's the best 2 minutes of his season so far, I think.
I mean, that could have been a potential disaster from Alex Laho. We know what he can do in a race when it's dry, and we've seen him cut through the field before after issues in qualifying, but he could have been starting down an 8th or 9th, and in a wet Spa, you don't want to be down in the middle of the pack in a wet opening lap, do you? Alex Laho, championship leader, what a lap time, 2 minutes dead to steal pole position away at the death from Jack Mayer. Sandeep Singh, the team boss at Road to Formula, he slots into P3 with Oliver Tarras. A great qualifying there to get into P4. Maxime Bulio, that's their best qualifying so far this season. P5 with Jerry Van Bussel over at Valley Esports in P6. Vincent Gutton to P7 with David Fidok. Unfortunately, got demoted down late on. He'll be in P8. Tom Vandervoort and Matthews Pijkan 9th and 10th. Similar issues. Everyone we'll be seeing from here was fighting up the top earlier on, but unfortunately just got demoted down as the lap times continued to come in. Michelle Gauka starts 11th with Florian Guy and David Vassman in 12th and 13th. The Chaos guys, I think, will be very, very disappointed with that one again. A pair of drivers who were just caught out by the late lap times. Rigota starts 14th with Remco de Joux and Lucas Thailand on row number 8. Dominic Koroshavin is 17th with Dennis Urban in P18. Jan Dragoon, a disappointing 19th for the Czech driver. He'll be trying to move forward in this one. And Stephen Lexout starting in P20. Rounding out our top 20. We do have one more driver, that being said. We've got 2 more drivers, actually. Persius Miro in 21st and Piotr Adamczyk in P22 as we head out for our warm-up session. So there you go. What a crazy, crazy qualifying session that was. Oh, Spa, what a place, what a race we've got set up on our hands, as well as the rain looks to fall all evening. 36 laps of nail-biting action awaits us in the 11th round of the 2024 Super Light season. If you're just watching us or just joining us, hello and welcome. You've missed an incredible qualifying session. This is your first time watching GPVWC. You've picked an absolute barnstormer in the making to come along and join the fun. Make sure you head over to the website at gpvwc.com to find out more. Make sure you join the Discord down in the description if you fancy getting involved, if you fancy pitting yourself against some of the very best in sim racing. This, of course, being Superlights, the second tier, an astonishing championship full of incredible talent in its own right, but these drivers are also the guys trying to fight their way into the Premier class, into the Super League. And of course, all eyes from the Super League will be on this one as well. You join myself, Ross McIntyre, Ed Hunter alongside me with Fabian Jungbluth on the cameras. What is looking to be a wet and wild Spa race. So a crazy qualifying session, Ed. But of course, wet race at Spa. Now it's about trying to focus in, find your race pace in this warm-up session, and then I suppose avoid the chaos of lap 1.
Yeah, interesting. Joseph Erlock, who completely missed that qualifying session, has just joined, so I guess he'll be our 23rd and last driver if everyone that qualified takes the start, of course. But a word for Oliver Tarras. This is his first appearance in a GPV Superlights. Usually he drives in a FS2 for Apex Grand Prix. And he was 4th on the grid, just ahead of Maxime Bulio, who we thought had the stolen pole position right at the end. Nonetheless, I think this is still Bulio's best qualifying of the season, of course. His best result this season, 10th, so starting 5th on the grid. A big opportunity for the Frenchman and for Fusion, and indeed for Oliver Tarras and Redven, of course. So Oliver Tarras filling in that second seat that was previously being occupied by Loic Mounier, who of course got pole position last time out at Hockenheim. On the flip side, right at the back grid, Jan Dragoon, who's finished 2nd in 3 of the last 4 races, is starting 19th on the grid, got completely caught out near the end by, like you say, just wasn't on track at exactly the right moment, and he's given himself an awful lot of work to do. So I'd be very amazed if Dragoon could get onto the podium at the end of this one. But stranger things have happened, and it's going to be very, very key because actually the sun has just come out, Ross. So all of a sudden, the intermediate tyres have become a big, attractive option at the start of this race.
Well, this could be very interesting indeed as the warm-up winds down. We've got 6 or just under 7 minutes, should I say, left in this warm-up session. So last opportunity for drivers to make the call again. I think we'll be seeing absolutely everybody out on track at the end of the session. We don't always get everyone out in the warm-up. Some drivers like to just stay in the pit lane, you know, maybe run for a last toilet break, get a coffee, get some food, whatever, maybe have a chat with the team. But given the nature of the changeable conditions, potentially, if we do see inters at the start of the race, they'll be all out there trying to gauge the conditions, trying to see what they can do. Of course, on the flip side of that, though, Ed, you don't want to gamble on inters and make the wrong decisions, start the race on the wrong tyre and just tumble down the order. So maybe we'll be seeing some drivers coming into the pits at the end of the formation lap and swapping compound as well if they feel like they've made the wrong decision. We'll have to wait and see. Just a note on Oliver Taris, though. Of course, if you follow other GPVWC series, you'll know he's a very rapidly up-and-coming driver who's often impresses, although maybe his GPVWC results don't speak for that. I can say from elsewhere in sim racing, he has a bit of a habit of making a show on debut in series and just showing what he can really do. So keep your eyes peeled for him. Could be quite interesting, but as the drivers make their way round, again, the rain looks like it's currently not falling. So again, we'll wait and see what the weather's going to be like at the start of this race. Maybe we do get some dry running at the end of the race. It's anybody's guess. Again, the Ardennes Forest, the weather picks and chooses what he does. The Spa is a bit like the Nordschleife in that regard. So the weather just rolls in and you can't predict it. And when it comes, it's coming. And it's like that, suddenly absolutely hammering it down. Oh, goodness me, this could be very, very interesting. What a track this is. What a race we've got on our hands.
Yeah, and like you say, different bits of the track may indeed dry at different times as well. So you might have a slightly, the top of the hill at Eau Rouge, it might be wetter than it is at, say, the other end of the track at, say, Stavelot, Paul Frere Corner, essentially. So, yeah, it is going to be a bit of a calculated risk, as it always is in terms of these tricky wet conditions. Of course, we did have a wet race earlier in Australia, didn't we? Where, of course, Alex Lahou was again on top on his debut for Road to Formula as well. So back in the rain, it's back to Lahou on top with Meyer and Singh probably going to be his chief rivals in this one. But like you say, Taras, Beaulieu, certainly we can't count them out getting a strong result here, but it would be certainly a big turnout if they were able to. They've got less to lose, haven't they? So they can probably gamble a bit earlier on the tyre switch. If it goes, what we're hearing at the moment is it's probably going to start off as is, where it's still relatively wet. It will go to inters, will be into dry out, and then it might rain again at the end of the race. That's what we're hearing. There's sorts of these showers about. So, but like you say, it could be very, very unpredictable. It might be that it dries out maybe for just 5 minutes and then starts raining again, in which case it's not really worth switching to a dry compound of tyre, as we see one of the Spark cars completely missing Eau Rouge and Radion there.
Yeah, maybe that's not the line you want to be trying to take, but we are seeing some people experimenting with the inters, seeing what they can do. On board with one of the Road to Formula cars, that looks like it's Alex Lahou we're on board with currently. So he's trying out the inters, seeing what he can do. Again, let's have a look at the lap times actually, shall we? Fastest lap on the inters at the moment, Jack Mayer, he's in P5. The wets at the moment seem like the quickest tyre to be on.
This
with
is
3 minutes.
We're on board with.
This is Sandeep we are, yes, of course. Sandeep we are on board with. They're not Alex Lahou. So Sandeep is experimenting with the inters though. And again, it could be a case maybe where it might be, even if it's not quite the right conditions to start on inters, Ed, that maybe you want to start on inters because in 5-10 minutes it'll be those conditions, and it might be a little bit faster just to start on the inters and deal with it rather than diving into the pits for a fresh set of rubber. So we've got a whole host of tactical anomalies up in the air because of the weather. Again, we don't know if this race could be dry by the end of it as well. All we know is it's going to be chaos, to say the least, as it always is at Spa. GPVWC, as always, looking to be a fantastic evening worth of racing. If you are just joining us, we are moments away from the start of this race, the 11th round of the 2024 GPVWC Superlights season. An incredible qualifying session has come and gone in the blink of an eye. We are now just over 2 minutes away from the end of the warm-up session. And of course, the game takes a moment, because as much as we love R Factor 2, bless it, it's getting a bit old now. It sometimes has to have a bit of a moment to sort itself out, and then we'll be going on our formation lap. And then it's 5 red lights, and away we go for 36 laps of the circuit, the Francorchamps, just a touch over 7 kilometers as they snake their way through the Ardennes Forest. One of the truly great racetracks, and a real mainstay on the GPVWC calendar, I am sure, and a real driver and fan favourite. I know some people like to claim that racing at Spa is boring. Well, to that I just have to say, no, it isn't. Shut up, go away, watch a different sport, because it's phenomenal, and if you don't appreciate Spa, I don't know what you're doing, really. I'll leave that one there for you, Ed.
Yeah, it does look like it's just begun raining again in recent history as well. So it looked like the very, very beginning of the session, the sun did briefly come out, but now the rain is starting to fall again. So the Inters, it's interesting to see Sandeep Singh in this warm-up lapping in the 2:04.2, so quite a few seconds off of the pole time on the full wet tyres. So that suggests to me we're still in full wet territory, but it doesn't say it couldn't dry out a bit later on. And this reminded me a lot of what we saw in the Super League race at Hockenheim, where there was a sudden shower midway through the race where the rain kept going on and off, like someone was flicking, a little child was flicking a light switch for the rain, essentially. And what ended up happening was you had a 6-way fight for the win between, I think, 5 drivers who switched to the intermediate tyre, and Matthew Williams, who gambled out on the dries, and in the end had to pit for wets very reluctantly after all the leaders had passed him. So risking it out, doing a different strategy everyone else is doing, it can either pay handsomely into your favour if you're the only one doing it, or it can backfire horribly and you suddenly find yourself on your own racing to 6th or 7th rather than fighting for the win there. But this is going to be very, very up and down, depending on a variety of different factors here, not least of all the weather, not only whether it's raining or not, but how intense the rain is and how quickly the conditions change as well. It could take a while, if it does dry up and for the dry tyres to come into effect by the end of the race. I have a feeling we're basically just going to see full wets and inters today.
But we'll wait and see. I've seen Amari Watson in the broadcast chat saying he thinks it might be dry at the end of the race. That's his prediction. So Amari will hold you accountable for that one. And if it's wrong, then you lose your drive and you have to go somewhere else. Of course, Amari, one of our...
But he was doing so well in FS1.
Yeah, well, you know the punishments if you get it wrong, and I'm in the commentary box. All in good jest. Amari, you can keep your seat. But we'll wait and see if his prediction comes true. Carlos Martin as well. He's very much been on the strategy side of things. Of course, the master strategist, I like to call him, the or the Super League driver, should I say, Super League race winner now as well this season. He's always messaging me, telling me about different times and strategy. He's been echoing what me and Ed have been saying, just saying the most important thing right now is making sure you are on the right compound at the start of this race, whether it's wets or whether it is inters. It is anyone's guess. But the checkered flag is now out in this warm-up session. You're seeing a few practice starts there from some of the drivers. Again, that'll be helpful trying to gauge what's going on, as there we see one of the Road to Formula guys trying to make their way into a grid box as well. Of course, just trying to see what they can gauge, find the bite point of the clutch.
That's Lahoo.
And most important, yeah, and that is Lahoo there. Just see what tyres work best as well. Lahoo currently on the intermediates, but we'll see what tyres they're going to choose when the racing gets going. But warm up now over, Ed. It's time to get some predictions in, but this one I think could be quite hard to predict because we simply don't know what's going to happen with the weather.
Yeah, 24 drivers on the grid, let's remind ourselves. Couple that had to miss qualifying as well. I think Joshua Dexter and Joseph Herlock. So at the very back, those who've not had practice of these conditions might either be taking it very, very easily, or I think the likelihood of an incident on the first lap from the midfield sort of downwards, so sort of 10th downwards essentially, is pretty high. So I think we're in for a lot of chaos and drama at the start, and I wouldn't be surprised to see 1 or 2 maybe gamble near the back on inters, hoping that the sun suddenly comes out, but I think that's probably going to be the minority.
Time will tell if anyone's going to take that gamble. We are moments away from our formation lap here at Spa, the 11th round of the 2024 GPVWC Super Lights season. And boy, oh boy, what a race this is gearing up to be. Your classic Spa, unpredictable weather. Lots of drivers out of position in qualifying. Lots of drivers having great qualifyings on the flip side of that and being right up the front of the grid where we normally wouldn't typically see them. So, it's anyone's guess. You can see there, one of the Valet Esports cars looks like it's on Inters. Again, that may change when they jump over to the grid. I think we could potentially be seeing split Inters, but I think you will be right, Ed. I think it's more likely to be people down the back who might try and take that gamble on the intermediate tyres, see if it's worth doing. We could be seeing people dive into the pits at the end of the formation lap as well for a fresh set of ride. But first car out onto the grid, though, looks like Inters for them. So that's quite
Fidoc,
interesting.
I think.
Yeah, that is
I'm seeing
Fidoc.
full wets for Fidoc on the race view.
Maybe my eyes are deceiving me then, but David Fidoc first out onto the grid, the number 23 in the True North.
Not your eyes. Nothing wrong with your eyes, Ross.
No, that's interesting then. But as we get ready to going, again, drivers just taking a moment. Last chats with the engineers and team members will be had. Now they all make their way out onto the grid. Moments away from our formation up. There is some intermediate tyres though. That's one of the Valet Esports cars. So that could be quite interesting. That'll be
That's a Gallery 82.
Oh, that is a Gallery 82 car even. My eyes clearly aren't working with me today, but we're on the way on our formation lap. Let's just move on from that one. And oh, that is Inters for the front pair as well, actually. So this could be very, very interesting. We've got a lot more intermediates than we were expecting, I think. The guys at the front clearly feel like it's the right tyre to go on.
Oh, let's see when halfway through the first lap. Once we see what they're actually on.
We'll see what happens when they make it to the to Lake Common and they all just shoot straight on because they've got no brakes. Let's find out. Let's go through the grid one more time, shall we? As we get underway on our formation lap. It is, of course, championship leader Alex Laho who stole pole position at the death from Jack Mayer in P2. Sandeep Singh starts in third. Directly behind his teammate Oliver Tarras. Great qualifying for the Red Ven driver. He slots into P4 on his Superlights debut. Again, he always aims to impress on debut. Let's see what he can do. Maxime Bulio, incredible qualifying for the Canadian into P5 with Jerry Van Bussel into P6 for Valet Esports. Vincent Gutt is 7th and David Fidoc, he lines up P8 for True North Motorsport. P9, Tom van der Voort with Matthews Pishkan rounding out the top 10. Row number 6 is Michel Galka and Florian Gaia in the Chaos car. A disappointing qualifying for the Chaos guys, getting bumped down late in qualifying with Dave Vassman in 13th in the sister vehicle. Alexander Ragosa is 14th with Remco de Jeu in P15, and Lucas Stylen starts 16th for TTF. Dominic Koroshavin is 17th with Dennis Urban in P18, Jan Dragoon in P19, and Stephen Lexau in P20. A bit of opposite luck there for the Red Ven drivers. The last few drivers did not set a lap in qualifying. Perjas Meron was the last driver to set a lap. We didn't see Piotr Adamczyk, Joseph Herlock or Joshua Dexter setting laps in the qualifying session. So our back three on the grid did not set a times. Of course, in real world motorsport, you'd have to go pleading on your knees to the stewards to make it on the grid. Luckily, in sim racing, we're all quite nice. We let them race anyway. That's your grid coming into this one then. Looks like Inters for the guys up the front at the very least. First driver that I can see on wets is Jerry Van Bussel. David Vidoc and Tom van der Voort also on wets. So it's actually, I think, really, Ed, the opposite of what we're thinking. It looks like most of the front guys are on Inters. Most of the guys at the rear of the pack are on the wets.
Yeah, it could be a little bit more split and even split than we thought. But yeah, the rain's still falling out there, so somebody's going to get it wrong. We just got to see who. And Jack Mayer, interestingly, at the FS1 feature race he did here last year, it rained near the end of the race and he stayed out on the dries. He ended up losing a load of positions. That was a gamble to try and win that race. I wonder if we're going to see Jack Mayer make a similar gamble later on here. But Alex Laho needs to make a clean start here, needs to steer clear of the chaos, and he could get his 6th win of the season if he can do that. But there's a lot of drivers that are going to make big gambles here to stop that from happening. You see Adamczyk and Dexter, who didn't set lap times, starting from the pit lane. So Joe Herlock will be our last driver on the grid.
Of course, it's all well and good making it through turn 1, but then you've got that big, long Kemmel straight to contest with as well, and slipstream is key in that one. So Laho will be looking for a very, very clean getaway. Our drivers are all on the grids, 2 drivers at the end of the pit lane, and we await.
They switched to full wets, Adamczyk and Dexter as well.
They have, yeah, they've switched to full wets. That could be interesting. Red lights are now on. It is lights out. We are underway. Oh, really poor start there from Sandeep Singh. Just didn't get the reaction that he wanted. Jack Mayer challenging to the outside of our pole sitter, Alex Laho. Can he go the long way round? through last source? Yes, he can. Mayer takes the lead down at turn number 1. The drivers crawling their way through as the spray gets kicked up in front of them. A brief yellow flag, but it's all clean so far. Jack Mayer leads from Laho in P2. We don't know where Sandeep Singh is. He's dropped right down the order. Laho already trying to negotiate his way back through, already pulling to the outside as they bomb down the Kemmel Straight, and Laho back into the lead before the braking zones. The first real test of the intermediate tyres is now, and they all look like they make their way through cleanly. 3-4 abreast in the wet in the background as we see some wet runners making their way through side by side through Lacombe. There you go into the next right-hander, then down the hill into Bruxelles. A very tricky corner in the wet because all the understeer, all the pressure you're putting on that front left tyre. Got to really tentatively hope and have faith in the grubber, have faith that it sticks as they now slide through Speaker's corner, then down into Puon. The first big corner they have to contest with on the lap, but it's all clean so far. Laho back in the lead from Mayer. Oliver Taras up into P3, Buell in P4. Sandeep Singh after that poor start, he's fallen down to P6. That is not what the Road to Formula boss would have wanted.
No, not at all. And even worse, he's stuck behind Jerry Van Boezel on the wet tyres. And if we're in Inter territory at the moment, then you really don't want to be stuck behind someone on the wets, because they're definitely going to be going a lot slower with all those extra grooves on those tyres designed to wash away the water, but they might not necessarily be the tyres to be on at the moment. But as the rain increases, Jerry Van Boezel could be in a very interesting position. Fidok as well is just behind Singh as well, that we're riding on board with now. But yeah, Sandeep just did not get away. Luckily, his teammate Lahu didn't panic after Mayer got through at turn 1 and just used that slipstream and a little bit of extra straight line speed on the Road to Formula to breeze back past the Spark car. So Jack Mayer is going to have to get creative if he wants to get back into the lead. But for Taras, it's dreamland right now in third, but Rubio is going to continue to challenge him throughout the rest of this first stint.
Lucas Thylan under big pressure from Stephen Lex out there looking to the inside down at last source. The sides not make the move. Joseph Herlock behind as well. Had a look to the outside. Didn't come into fruition on that occasion. Of course, no DRS at the moment, but you can still utilise that slipstream, and that's exactly what Sandeep Singh is going to do. To the outside, round Van Boezel and up into 5th place. So Singh, the recovery starts now. He moves up into 5th. And, well, we wait to really see what tyres are the right ones to be on. Maybe at this stage it's the Inters, because Van Boezel has just been passed, but he doesn't look like he's dropping back horrifically. It doesn't look like the wets are the wrong rubber. It's perfectly at that crossover point almost between the two compounds. As Singh starts to pull away. Mayer was not able to get through Laho on that occasion, but still very close to the back of the Road to Formula driver. A big cluster of cars as Stephen Lexau continues to make his way through. Wow, what a move from the Red Fen driver round the outside at Speaker's corner. That is superb from Stephen Lexau to make his way up into P18. Awesome stuff from him. And well, that's really making a statement. He's trying to move forward as quickly as he can on this second lap of the race, and now sets his eyes on Dennis Urban in front. Lexau, again, one of those drivers who got bumped down late in qualifying as the track got very much quicker, very quickly. We're looking to try and improve, but making good progress. A few positions made already. Yellow flag out in sector 2. Gone as quickly as it arrives. Fidok under big pressure, but putting pressure on Van Boezel in front, should I say. And I tell you what, just behind his teammate Pishkan, Vincent Gutt there as well. These guys, 4 locked in battle. Laho, fastest lap of the race, a 2:146, almost on his qualifying time, and with a full tank of fuel on board as well. But the Inters looking like they are the tyres to be on right now, because Van Boezel has started to drop back from Sandeep Singh as well, big time. So I think the Inters were the right call, at least at this current moment in time. As they see who is on what tyres, Van Boezel and Fidok on the wets. They are the front runners on that tyre. They're the ones under real pressure from Pishkan and Vincent Gutt behind. Here is Vincent Gutt, meanwhile, trying to go through Mathieu Pishkan. Does get through Mathieu Pishkan. Not quite done yet to the inside. And Fidok, meanwhile, trying to get overtaken by Van Boezel. And neck through Lacombe they go. Almost contact between the pair of them, but clean racing nonetheless. Definitely at this moment in time, I think it is the intermediate tyre, the one that you want to be on.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the rain radar for Spa in sort of real life. It says rain and a thunderstorm starting in 12 minutes. And it says that's going to last all the way through to about 9:30 or so. It's currently 8:15 in the UK then, so that would be, we might see it start to dry out near the end, but those on the full wets might be looking good. It's Vincent Gutt is out. Oh no, has he been disconnected or has he crashed out then on the intermediates?
That's a real shame for Vincent Gutt. I've seen this before from Gutt as well. If it is a disconnect, and that's not what you want to see, hopefully we'll get a replay if it is an accident. But from what I can tell from that camera angle, the front left is still on the car anyway, so it may well have been a disconnect. Let's see a replay. What has happened to the Spark Racing driver coming out of Speaker's corner now on the run into Puon. Oh, I think this might be an accident. Oh, no, that's definitely a disconnect as he teleports into the hills. The forest has taken him, unfortunately. That's a real shame for Vincent Gutt. Down and out before this race really got started. And another disconnect for him there. That's a real shame. Meanwhile, Van Bussel struggling. Yeah, struggling even more on that wet compound try. You can see him really struggling for grip now. The tyres starting to overheat. That's a real shame for him as well. The wet compound, as it stands, is not the one to be. And oh, there was contact in front there. That was between Dragoon and Van der Voort, the two teammates. I believe Jan Dragoon may have just missed his braking marker ever so slightly. Doesn't look like there's any damage to either car at a glance, but there was definitely a tap on the rear from one to the other. That slowed them both right up. Oh, goodness me, Van Bussel with lightning hands to save that thing. And with this slipstream as well, and could be going 3 abreast down the Kemmel Straight. From down and out to back in the fight, Van Bussel gets one. Does he get the other? Not quite. Has to back out of it as he goes over the curbs, and again Van Bussel with reaction sent from the gods. Well, it's not been a race of joy for Van Bussel, struggling on that tyre, but he's putting on a hell of a display right now as he takes the most extreme of wet lines. Who was that went round?
In the wrong way. Oh no, it's Ragosa, sorry, in the other Gallery 82. But yeah, everyone's just scurrying to avoid him down at Brussels there. But that's really unfortunate. It looks like they all just got tangled up behind the Van Bussel and the 2 Drake cars. But Dragoon, of course, has gained 9 places from where he started. He's on a real charge on those inters. Those on the wets, really, really struggling. Only David Feidock now in the top 10 still on the wets.
Right now on the wets, it's very much a case of keep it on the black stuff, keep it out of the barriers. Was there a touch? Yes, there was a touch there from one of the Chaos cars.
Vasserman, I think. Is it Vasserman?
I think it might have been Gaia, because I saw Gaia dropping down the positions. But Alexander Ragosa sent the wrong way through no fault of his own. But that's not going to do his overheating wet tyres any good. Indeed, it was Florian Gaia who's dropped down, so that would have been him involved with that one. Jack Mayer, meanwhile, back in the lead of the race on lap number 5. So Jack Mayer, amidst all that chaos, has managed to slide back through Alex Lahoe, and the Englishman is back into the lead. But of course, with a big long Kemmel Straight, Ed, it's not necessarily a done deal. But Lahoe looking quite far back as it stands, 7/10, so he might get away with this one. I think Jack Mayer may have just executed the move exactly when he needed to, and might be able to now control this race as Van Bussel in for Inters.
Yeah, it looks like him, Adamczyk and Ragosa are all giving up, desperately trying to get it stopped into the box and switching to the intermediate tyre. They know they're just going to continue to lose time at this stage on the wet unless the rain intensifies, as we're predicting it might well do. But it is a big gamble, because you've just got to hope that it lasts for long enough as well. Those on the inters are sort of hedging their bets essentially, and that's putting them in a good position here. Yeah, we might want to watch out for Feidock on that alternate strategy if the rain starts to intend. It still just says raining. I can't see exactly how intense. It doesn't look particularly heavy on screen though. So we're definitely staying in sort of just consistent into drizzle sort of territory. Yeah, Jack Mayer got ahead of Lahoe exactly while we were watching Van Bussel and Drake cars fighting each other down the Kemmel Straight then. So that was about, they were about 5-10 seconds up the road then. So at the end of the Kemmel Straight, or just coming out of Le Combe, that was where Mayer made that move then.
Yeah, and a lovely move at that as well. So Mayer now a second, just over a second in fact, to the good. So he's got into the lead of the race and is starting to lay down the law, starting to show what he can do up the front.
He's been a little bit faster, hasn't he? Even when Lahoe was setting fastest laps of the race early on, Mayer was exceeding him, and he's continuing to do that now. He's ahead, 1:58.5. As we look at Vasserman lining up, is that Feidock ahead of him on the wets?
I believe it maybe. No, it is David Feidock. Yeah, so David Feidock continues to struggle on the wet. And wow, look at that. Wasserman bullying his way past the True North driver, who is waiting, hoping the rain intensifies. Through goes Wasserman. Just behind them, Michel Galker, I think, will be making his way through very shortly as well. We don't have an overtake intensity graphic, unlike some motorsports do, but if we did have one, it would be probably the easiest one of the lot, because David Feidock, it's, well, to say all at sea is the wrong word, because it's actually too dry for those wet tyres, but that's very much what it feels like for him right now. Just struggling with the tyres, and indeed, there does go Michel Galker. Look behind as well. That's Jan Dragoon, who's had a great opening 6 laps so far, making his way up into P10, trying to get through as well. Feidock holds off on Dragoon, but it's very much a case of when, not if, because those wet tyres at this stage are just not working. Feidock is desperately hoping for the rain to intensify, and in fact has even admitted defeat in that one and let Jan Dragoon by. He doesn't want to hold him up, he doesn't want to cause an accident. Very sporting of Feidock. He knows that he's struggling, and he knows that he needs the rain to fall, or he needs to pit very, very shortly if he wants to rescue this race.
Yeah, we're being told by the weather radar, heavy rain and a thunderstorm starting in 7 minutes. And is that going to be enough to save David Feidock's race? Is it going to last long enough is the key thing, because if we see heavy rain for a few laps, the Inter runners might just try and stick it out and wait for the shower to pass. But if it goes a bit longer, then suddenly David Feidock could be in the box seats. Just needs to make sure the wets don't completely degrade at this phase when the track is that a little bit too dry for them at the moment.
Have to wait and see what can happen as Sandeep Singh on his recovery from that poor start. Oliver Tarras in his sights. Can Sandeep make his way through? Tarras is having a good race so far, it must be said. Jack May, another fastest lapper, 158.331. Of course, another thing you have to think about as well for the intermediates, if you step slightly offline, it's going to be a lot wetter, and that might cost you as well. It's all to play for here at Spa, lap 7 of 36, and it feels like it's been a whole race worth of action already. Feidock's in. He's bit the bullet, he's admitted defeat. David Feidock's come in for a set of inters, as Sandeep Singh pulls to the outside on Oliver Tarras and gets the move done well before they reach the braking zone for Les Combes. You've got to think though, Ed, for those guys who started on the wets and are now boxing for the inters, if that heavy rain does come, it's potentially a missed opportunity, because you might have to stop again.
Yeah, certainly, but I like to say, so difficult to predict, so fickle, isn't the weather? But so it looks like Kurashavin and Urban are the only two that are gambling at the moment. They know it's like 4 or 5 minutes away according to the weather radar, but on track, it's continuing to just drizzle and not enough for those wet tyres then. So everybody else has switched to the inters then, and who knows, it may in the short term at least save them time, because Feidock has come out, let's see, is he about 7 seconds then behind Urban and Kurashavin, who are also fighting each other, it must be said. So this can actually work out quite well for Feidock. It's a little bit, because the rain has darkened the True North Motorsport livery, because I was in True North the sort of white, red and black car, but it just seems to be a grey with all those raindrops all over it. The livery doesn't seem to like all this weather, and neither does it seem does David Feidock, because he's put the wrong strategies. You can just see rain starting to fall in front of him. Does that look a little bit heavier than before, Ross, or is it still just drizzling?
Hard to tell, to be brutally honest. Okay, now you can tell. I think it is starting to fall a little bit heavier than before. And again, if that thunderstorm is truly inbound as well. If that thunderstorm is truly inbound, Alex Lahove fastest lap, 57.9. Let's keep our eyes on the lap times. Let's keep our eyes on anyone who might be facing the wrong way very shortly as well. And as I say that, a big yellow flag out in Sector 2. And who's that that's gone out of the race? Oh, Piotr Adamczyk, down and out. And the yellow flag was out for quite some time, so I don't think that one's a disconnect, unfortunately, for Adamczyk. Florian Guy, I mean, well, he's got Lucas Stylin up in front. TTF versus Chaos. Let's see who comes out on top in this one. But I think the rain, Ed, I think you're right, it is starting to fall a bit heavier than before.
And Sandeep Singh gets up to third, past Oliver Tarras, as we see another yellow in Sector 3. Feidock has set 51.2 in the middle sector, compared to Kurashavin and Urban, who are setting 53.4s and 53.9s respectively. So the fresh inters are definitely the ones to be on at the moment. As we see Remco De Zeo, he's out in the second of the fusions. And had Remco just stuck it out on the wets as well? No, he was on 3-lap-old inters. So yeah, it definitely looks like the rain is catching them out now, and it's starting to get just that little bit heavier.
We've got a replay here. Let's see who this is. This is a Damchik. He's making his way. That's coming through campus. On the wet tyres. Oh dear, that's a big one. Just no traction on the rear, and it just spat him out and into the barrier and out of the race. His Remco is zooming. Well, what happened to the Fusion Racing driver? Also on the wets. Those wets have got to be hotter than a roast chicken fresh out of the oven, and yet catches the Astro into the wall. Another big impact. Hard into the outside wall and down and out of the race as well. A big shame for those two guys. But yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, part of the gamble as well. Maybe that is why Fabian pitted. Even if the rain starts to come down heavy now, it's just the conditions weren't right for the wets for so long. They were just cooked, and you could not take them any further without risking an accident and putting yourself out of the race. As we see there, that's two wet runners who found themselves into the wall. There was a bit of a mistake.
They were both
there.
on inters though at the time, I thought. They just switched to the inters. So that shows they're just going too far on the curb. As we look at Fabian now splitting two of the remaining wet runners, getting ahead of Dennis Urban, as you see the tyre of Deseo just lying forlornly at Blanchimont. Next target is the second wet runner, the leading wet runner of Kurashav, then in the Alpha Sierra then. So Dennis Urban, in his rookie season, he's got no response. David Fabian gets into the final points paying position then on those fresh inters. 1:57.4, so he's lapping 4 tenths quicker than the leaders, David Fabian.
Yeah, we saw a moment ago Alexander Ragota had a fastest lap. Now Vincent van den Voort has a fastest lap. Those guys have all boxed for fresh inters. According to my live timing, Tom, I do that every time, and I always do it, Ed. I need to apologise to Tom, because I get him mixed up with a darts player of all people who's called Vincent van der Voort. I am very, very sorry, Tom. I do it every time, and I don't know why. But Tom van der Voort, fastest lap, also on a fresh set of inters. According to my live timing, Deju and Adamczyk were on the wet. So maybe if they were on the inters, there was a bit of a problem, or maybe they just dropped so far back.
They started on, so it's sort of maybe back to that. That might be what we're seeing.
Potentially. Either way, issues for both of them, and both out of the race. 3 DNFs now. They join Vincent Gutt, who had a disconnect a little bit earlier on. Alex Laho looks like he's struggling a little bit. He keeps closing up to the back of Jack Mayer, and then there's a small mistake. He misses a braking zone or misses an apex. And he can't feel too confident knowing that Sandeep Singh is on a charge behind him as well, his teammate and team boss. Yeah, he's flying at the moment. He's the Road to Formula head honcho as Laho makes his way through the bus stop. Starting lap 10 out. 36.
So after setting fastest lap, he's immediately crashed. So those switching to the inters don't seem to have as much grip as they think they do, are taking loads of risks and then crashing out at us. And that shows you how treacherous it is at the moment.
This race is currently one about survival. Tom van der Voort becomes our latest DNF. A real shame for him. Jack Mayer, 1.2 seconds to the good ahead of Alex Laho. 4 tenths quicker on the previous tour. Let's see if Laho can respond. The championship leader wants to continue what has been a season of absolute dominance so far for him. The only races that he hasn't finished on the podium was a DNF at Imola, and then at Silverstone, that late incident coming into the final few corners on the final lap saw him punted down into 6th place. He has been the man to beat so far this season. Right now, though, Jack Mayer looks like he has the measure of him as they head through Speaker's Corner. Of course, the corner that has a different name depending on who you ask it. In the sim race community, many people refer to it as No Name. The circuit refers to it as the Jackie X Corner, but it's never officially been named that. And then in motorsport, it's called Speaker's Corner, because back in the day when you didn't have TV cameras and all that, when the cars disappeared off the top of Radion, that corner was the first point you could see them as they came back down the hill in the paddock. So hence that was where the trackside speaker, as they used to be called back in the day, that was the point where they would open their mouths again and start talking and blabbering on like we often do. But Laho looks like he's closed back up to Mayer once again, now within 9 tenths of a second. We know that Laho is absolutely monstrous in the opening sector. I think he is just making the small odd mistake here. I wonder if the tyre is starting to feel a little bit punished in the changeable conditions. As Jack Mayer, though, does look pretty solid up the top, up front. It's going to be, well, Alex Laho's actually carved half of the gap away. It was 1.2 at the line last time. It's now 6 tenths of a second, so Laho is really started pushing on that previous tour. Lap 11 now, 36. Jack Mayer went from feeling pretty comfortable to maybe starting to look at his mirrors a bit more, maybe starting to feel a bit of pressure as the rapid Frenchman begins to approach, begins to maybe set up a move. And let's not count Sandeep Singh out of this one as well. He's at the back of these pair, just patiently awaiting, seeing what's happening in front. Laho won't be close enough for a move into Lacombe this time. But look at that, Ed. He's closing. He's really up the pace.
Yeah, Mayer still pretty quick in the first sector, although Lahu actually sets a purple first sector of the race, 34.0, but he was, I'd say, personal best 2/10 quicker the previous lap than Mayer in sectors 2 and 3, but those are probably the harder ones to overtake in, unfortunately for him. And he's still all the while being caught just 10th by 10th by Sandeep Singh behind. And if these three start holding up each other, Oliver Tass, who's not lapping that much slower, 158.5, so that's about 6/10 slower on average than Jack Mayer. So Taras isn't completely out of this. He has been very, very impressive. Pulled a 10-second gap to Pizkazan in the True North car that's gotten ahead of Maxime Beaulieu for 5th position. So Pizkazan in the True North that started quite a way down, just outside the top 10, didn't he? He's now in the top 5. So good drive from the Polish driver. But yeah, for David Fidok though, those fast laps to race, the problem is now he's 34 seconds behind the lead, so that gamble staying out on the wets not really paid off. The thunderstorm, it keeps getting pushed back. Every time I look, it says it's 9 minutes away. Now it says it's 6 minutes away. But for me, the track, it feels like that it's still just drizzling ever so slightly, and the conditions are still into territory. And look at this, Mayer really struggling in the bus stop. That's going to compromise his exit, and Lahu is coming for him.
Laho is so good on the brakes into the bus stop, isn't he? Look at the time he's gaining. And with a bit of slipstream down the Kemmel Straight, this could be the opportunity to get back into the race lead. 4/10 faster on that previous tour. And Singh as well, closing in as well. Mayer starting to lose a lot of time as they make their way into Eau Rouge and Radion. And the lap times last time, well, Jack Mayer still in the 57. Yeah, it stopped raining completely as well. Here goes Alex Laho, though, to the inside on the wet part of the track, cooling off his tyres and keeping a cool head as well. Mayer tries to squeeze him to the inside, but this should be pretty easy. Not going to be quite so easy, though, because Mayer holding to the inside, but has to back out of it. Laho with a lovely move. Mayer didn't want to cause an accident, decided to back out and let Laho on through. He knows he can just rest, recuperate, recover, and go for another attack. Unless Sandeep Singh has anything to say about this one, because the Road to Formula team boss right behind Jack Mayer now as well. The number 16 may be feeling the pressure in a Road to Formula sandwich right now. Making their way, oh, look at the rear of the car moving around for Mayer. I wonder if his rubber's starting to peel away a little bit, because look at how much Laho has already pulled the gap out. And you can see just how much Mayer's car is moving on the throttle. I think he might just be struggling a little bit for tyre temperature, struggling for traction, struggling for grip as they make their way out of Stavelot. And I think Sandeep Singh will be watching this very, very keenly, knowing his chances of getting through probably quite high, because he's very much the quicker out of himself and Mayer as it stands. Jack Mayer suddenly in trouble, Ed.
Yeah, and look at the dry line emerging. We aren't too far potentially, unless the rain comes back off of a transition onto dry tyres. But it has just started raining again as I say that, so maybe stick with the Inters for now. The problem is they're wearing these Inters, like you say, more and more as this stint goes on with the weather changing. So we might see those who switched earlier to a fresh set of Inters might have gotten themselves a huge undercut then. I'm trying to see who is the highest. I think it might be Fidok then, as we see Jan Dragoon come in after 12 laps then on the Inters. So Dragoon from 8th position, he's putting a fresh set of Inters on, surely.
Got to be a fresh set of Inters. Slicks?
Oh!
What? That's got to be a mistake.
Surely,
Dragoon not moving. I think he knows that something's gone wrong there. There is no way that Jan Dragoon's put slicks on there on purpose.
Yeah. Weather radar also says heavy rain and a thunderstorm starting in 1 minute in Spa. So
oh, Jan Dragoon, that might have been the biggest. That might have been the biggest error. Yeah, they are slick tires. I can't believe that. That's got to be a mistake or a bug or something like that. He's accidentally put the slicks on. Or maybe he does feel like he's dry enough. He's not, well, struggled so far. This is the first real test into Lacombe. And I tell you what, it looks all right, you know?
As long as he sticks to that racing line, off it, it's going to be absolute ice. And even that racing line that's dry at the moment, it's going to disappear quite quickly then. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dragoon is coming in again soon, especially if that thunderstorm arrives. Joshua Dexter really the only one who stayed out on the full wets from the very back of the grid. And to be fair, if you're a lap down like he is, you may as well take that sort of gamble. Dennis Urban, who pit 3 laps ago for Indus, has set the fastest lap of the race, 155.8 then, down in 16th position. Dennis Urban already still hunting for those few more points. He's got 9th place at Imola, 15th at Silverstone, didn't finish, hit the pit, crashed out into the pit wall last time out at Hockenheim, while running just outside the top 15 as well. So 8 points to his name. He's still looking for a few more points for PZZW then, so things could still yet work out for him. But look at this, Jack Mayer now 1 second behind Lahu and well in range of Sandeep Singh on the Inters then. But this is turning into a strategic game. Who is going to pit first, either for fresh Inters or potentially gambling on a weather change? If there's a big storm hit, who's going to gamble on the full wets here?
Well, this could be very, very interesting. Maybe Jan Dragoon knows something we don't, and maybe it's a masterful strategy from the Czech driver. That's a fresh set of Inters for Steven Lexau in the red Ven car. So he's decided to stay on that tyre. But yeah, I think we've definitely reached a point where everyone's been trying to wait out to see if the rain gets heavier. They can't push it anymore. And if the rain does get heavier, well, oh dear, you've just lost a whole load of time with 2 pit stops to maybe get back onto the wets. I think that's what Jack Mayer is.
Dragoon is purple fast last 2 sectors, 50.0 and then 30.8, so much faster than everyone else. So I don't know, maybe that was just the golden outlap there, but maybe it seems like we've gone from it's not raining to it's slightly drizzling and not enough for the track to completely lose grip. It's bizarre, and I think it's what we were talking about earlier, where it's wet at some parts of the circuit but not at others. Sandeep Singh actually sets the purple first sector on this lap, right behind Jack Mayer then. So Mayer is going to get defensive very, very soon, unless he's going to dive into the pits and try and undercut Road to Formula here.
But according to my live timing, Dragoon is not the only one on the slick tyre. Steven Lexau. Lexau, I mean, it came up as Inters on the broadcast, but sometimes R-Factor 2 just takes a moment or two to update the tyre compound. We've also got Van Bussel and Ragozza on the softs, apparently. Well, let's see how they get on. Again, currently, Sandeep Singh was setting the purple first sector. Alex Laho just set his personal fastest lap of the race on the previous tour. But then Jan Dragoon's gone purple in Sector 2. Steven Lexau's set an identical Sector 2 time as well. And they're significantly faster in Sector 2 as well. They're flying, are the ones on the soft. So this is, as you said, it's bizarre. The dry line, despite the fact it's still raining, is so dry that the slicks are seemingly the tyres to be on, because Jan Dragoon has closed right up to Florian Gaia, just sets the fastest lap of the race of 55.484. That's some second quicker than anyone else has gone so far, as Bulio comes into the pits for a set of softs as well. I mean, the pit lane's still going to be soaking. Galka's out on the mediums. I can't actually comprehend what's going on right now. The dry line, despite the fact it's raining, is so dry you can run the slicks and be faster. Make it make sense.
You've got to overtake though and get offline, even on those soft tires, and that's where it's going to be like driving on ice essentially. So even if that dry line survives somehow, it seems bizarrely that since the drivers have realised halfway through the race, as the rain increases, somehow the dry line isn't going away. So it's a very, very weird one. This not how any of us, I think, expected it to go. All the front runners seem spooked by it as well, because they're just trying to extend this Inters stint for as long as possible until the track can decide whether it's going to be wet or dry or not. But yeah, all the while, this is just allowing the likes of Jan Dragoon. This is playing into his hands at the moment. He's catching up to the drivers in front of him by a hand over fist at the moment.
Well,
but look, again, he goes wide.
There you go. You dip one wheel into the wet and suddenly you're all at sea, squirreling for grip. Dragoon manages to save it, but just shows the risk that you're taking, even if it is quicker to be on the slicks. I tell you what, though, the engineers for the guys at the front, they will be watching the likes of Dragoon and Van Bussel like hawks, checking their lap times, seeing where they're faster, seeing if it's worth going onto the slicks. What's the weather going to do? Is that thunderstorm going to hold off, or is it going to properly rain? It's anybody's guess right now. It is strategy bedlam here at Spa. Dragoon on the slicks in the rain, looking to be the fastest man on track. Sandeep Singh looking to be the man in P2. He gets into P2 as well. These guys holding out on those intermediate tyres at the moment as Mayer's tyre struggles continue. Alex Laho's now 2.2 seconds clear of second place. So Mayer is really kind of keep it on the black stuff and seeing what the weather is doing. So we've got runners on inters, runners on slicks. We've still got one runner out on the wets, I believe, in Josh Deck.
Josh is switching
he's
dries.
Slicks as well. So everyone who's coming into the pits is going onto the dries. So the dry tyre looks like it's the one to be on. This is madness on lap 16
and the sun's come out again.
Yeah, the sun's coming out. It's not raining. What is going on? My mind cannot.
Dragoon has pulled a blinder here, and everyone has got to react to this now, surely. He's only 40 seconds behind the lead. It sounds like a lot. That could disappear quickly. But he is actually, last lap was a bit slower. So that rain was just starting to settle in. And now it's turned around completely, essentially, because that thunderstorm just keeps fending off, I think. It says on the weather radar, rain and a thunderstorm for at least the next 60 minutes. But I'm not seeing that on track at the moment here at Spa.
Yeah, it is definitely not raining at the current point in time. And Laho continues onwards. The front runners deciding to... Oh, no, there goes Jack Mayer. Jack Mayer, the first of our real leaders to drive into the pit lane. What choice of tyre does he go on to? It's got to be slick, surely. We thought they were crazy. We thought the Ant Dragoon had a bug or had gone onto the wrong tyres. He's currently the fastest man out on track. Jack Mayer from third position on a very worn set of intermediates comes in and heads out on the medium compound tyre. Here we go. The first of the front runners to bite the bullet and come in. Is this maybe a masterclass? The undercut, is that the one that he needs to go on if the slicks are that much quicker? Again, Dragoon could have pulled an absolute blinder on the strategy. If it was a gamble, it is one that has cashed in big. Jack Mayer out on the slicks in P5, Wasserman in front on very worn intermediates. Let's see if Mayer is able to catch. Oh, you can see already how much quicker he was through Eau Rouge and Radion. The gap already coming down. It's got to be slicks at this current moment in time. But again, this thunderstorm, it's supposed to have been stormy for the last 15 minutes. So it's anybody's guess as to what the weather's going to do here in Belgium. Look at the grip that Jack Mayer has on fresh slicks over worn intermediates. This is ridiculous here at Spa. And we have been served up an absolute treat. Jack Mayer, well, he just needs to find a gap and head through it as long as he can keep it on the circuit as he goes over the wet line. But look at how much quicker the slicks are. But it also goes to show how risky it is. Touched the curb and got properly sideways there. It's not smooth sailing. You're really having to stay on top of it, stay focused, and fight the car if it comes down underneath you on the slicks. The racing line is dry. Everywhere else is still soaking.
Yeah, and this is critical for Jack Mayer. He's losing so much time stuck behind Wasserman. If Road to Formula pit both of their cars now, they could probably at least get Lahu out ahead of Wasserman in the order then. So, yeah, Jack Mayer knows this undercut's going to come to nothing if he can't find a way past that Chaos car in front of him. He's finally got the run. He'll have to move a little bit offline. Will Wasserman defend? Into the pits comes Alex Lahu. So this is crucial race-deciding stuff. Mayer sweeps around the outside. Singh is pitting as well.
Both of the leaders in Road to Formula, of course. No double stacking in R Factor 2. You get your own pit box. And Alex. Yep, Saracen as well. And Sandeep Singh will be right behind Mayer. Oh, no, it is a double stack. Apologies. Maybe here they do have the same pit box. So a brilliant double stack there from Road to Formula. And was that Sandeep Singh still on the intermediate tyres I saw? Let me check the live timing. Sometimes R Factor 2 takes a moment to update. Sandeep Singh stayed on the inters. Mayer's got through.
Updated. He's on the dries.
He is indeed on the dries. Thank you very much, Ed Hunter. Mayer has got through Sandeep Singh in the meanwhile. Again, he had to drive slowly through the pit lane to avoid the double stack. Dragoon's got up to fifth, but is all sorts of sideways out of la source. And then we wait patiently to see if it starts raining again. Unbelievable stuff. So Mayer, the undercut has worked to get him in front of Sandeep Singh. Laho still a decent chunk ahead of him, though. So we'll see who's got the pace on the dry compound. Oh my goodness me, it's lap 18 of 36, halfway through this race. And goodness gracious me, it has been an incredible race so far. Action everywhere you look. Strategy battles absolutely up and down the grid. Weather holding off for now, but will it start to rain once again? All drivers now, I believe, are on the slick tyres. No, that's a lie. We've got a few holding out there on the inters for the time being. On the slicks, everybody apart from Maxime Bulio on the soft compound, or on the medium compound, should I say. Maxime Bulio, the only one on the softs. So keep an eye on Bulio's pace. Well, we don't know what's going to happen, to be quite frank, because again, Ed, we've been waiting for this rain for coming up to 20 minutes now. And if it does rain, it looks like it's going to absolutely chuck it down, and then everyone's going to come back in again for a set of wet tyres. And we don't know how long it's going to rain for. So right now, we're in a bit of a weather limbo here.
Indeed, yeah. So the weather radar is a little weird because it sort of was showing light rain earlier with the potential for a big thunderstorm to hit, and that thunderstorm keeps being sort of delayed. Essentially, we're looking at sort of 9:30, 9:35 UK time, which is still in about just under 40 minutes time from now, when I think the race will hopefully be over by then, or just about to end at the very least, because we've still got another 16, 17 laps to go then. But Jack Mayer has found himself behind Oliver Tarras. That's how much he got held up by David Wasserman then. So pitting earlier was not necessarily the optimum call there, but Jack Mayer sort of had to throw the dice, didn't he? And now he's got to figure out a way past the red van in front of him. For Tarras, though, this is a golden opportunity.
I think it may have potentially been a mistake from Mayer, because he's lost a lot of time as well. He did come out in front of Singh. Remember, Singh was able to get through Jack Mayer pretty quickly after the pit stops, but he's now dropped behind Oliver Tarras, and they're 5 seconds back from Singh. So I think Mayer may have run slightly wide somewhere, maybe a half spin to put him back into P4, which is not what he would have wanted. He's led most of this race so far today. Now down and off the podium. Lap 19 of 36. Still a decent chunk to go, just under halfway through this evening's action. And well, it's slick running now. We're waiting to see what the weather is going to do. Will it fall or will it stay?
It started raining again, Ross, just as you say that.
Oh, I should be a weatherman. I'm good at this, isn't it? There we go. Rain is starting to come down, and that's coming down hard. Oh dear, oh dear. Spa, the Ardennes, has once again thrown us a curveball as everybody boxes for the slip. Look at the rain now. It is hammering it down. Out of the race goes Mathieu Pijcan. Has he met the wall, or was that a disconnect? We'll find out very shortly. Front end looks okay. Possibly a disconnect for Pijcan. We'll find out, but look at the rain. It's going to be back to wet weather tyres, or at the very least intermediates, very, very shortly. And for those guys who are just completing a lap, Alex Laho set the fastest lap of the race. But look at that hammering it down now. They should be okay to complete another lap as the rain slowly settles in. But on lap 20 of 36, Ed, that's the thunderstorm I think we were waiting for. I think we're going to be back on the wet tyres very, very shortly.
And if that's the case, how's Dennis Urban and Kurashavin, who are on the inters at the moment? They went 9 laps on the full wets, and then they've done 9 laps on the inters. Have they pulled a blinder here? 41 seconds off the lead, of course, but they could start gaining time, especially if people start dropping off the road ahead of them. This is going to be a much riskier prospect if the rain really intensifies quickly here. So all those who've just switched to dries have got a nightmare scenario where the grip is going to reduce, and they're just going to have to tiptoe around here.
This could be very interesting. Again, if the rain isn't going to be there for that long, they could try and just stay out on the dry tyres. And, well, it looks like the rain's actually eased off a little bit once again. But if that was the thunderstorm, that was a very poor thunderstorm, let's be honest here. But again, you look down at La Source and coming through Eau Rouge, and it's still raining there. So maybe we've got a case of it's raining down the bottom end of the circuit, but up the top, up the hill, not raining nearly as hard. Oh, it's anyone's guess. No one's dived in just yet. It looks like they're holding on okay on the wet tyres. As Ragotza, we've also lost Alexander Ragotza in the meantime, so that's another driver. Oh no, he did go out earlier on, should I say. I thought someone else had dropped out of the race, but it looks like Alexander Ragotza was the one who met the wall somewhere. So, and actually, I think we are getting a few drivers in for the intermediates. Indeed we are. That is Jerry Van Bussel, who comes in for a set of the inters once again. So, we wait and see what the leaders do. Do they stay out? Do they gamble? Hope the rain goes away? Jack Mayer, we saw him pit first out of the leaders earlier on. Is he the one who's going to pull the pin and come in for a set of intermediate tyres? So it's no, Laho's already in. Alex Laho already into the pit lane. Sandeep Singh has maybe followed him. Yes, he has. So the Road to Formula guys both in for inters. Tarras and Mayer both staying out. This is crucial. What tyre is the right to be on over this next lap?
Oh, big crap!
Oh! Mayer collects the back of Taras. Taras round into the wall. Looks to be able to continue, but is there damage to the red Ven car? It looks okay from the outset. But Mayer, I think, maybe just locked a wheel or got it wrong, or maybe just didn't quite predict how wet La Source was going to be. Alex Laho's on the wet tyre now, on the intermediate tyre. As should I say, Sandeep Singh. Let's have a look at the times. Let's see how much they pull in. Dragoon also in. Wasserman in. That's Maxime Bulio in. The pit lane is a hive of activity right now. Michel Gauka in, all for those intermediate tyres. Look at the rain in the pit lane. It is hammering it down now at Spa. We've had our fun in the dry. Back onto wet weather tyres now, boys and girls. This is chaos at Spa. Lap 21 of 36. It is very much going to be who's on the right tyre at the right time. And look at the time that Laho is gaining on Taras as well. He's closed that gap right up. It looks like it's time for intermediates. Mayer and Taras have got to be coming in on this lap. They are crawling around right now.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was a risk to stay out. They were hoping the rain would stop, and instead it intensified. Dragoon seems to be calling it perfectly here because he did 12 laps on the inters, 8 laps on the dry tyres, and now he's gone back to the inters.
This is unbelievable stuff here. Mayer and Taras will surely be coming in. I mean, look at Laho on the back of Taras. They've left it a lap too late, unfortunately. Shades of Oscar Piastri at Silverstone in the Formula One a few weeks ago. Tried to stay out for one more lap, and unfortunately it didn't come into fruition. Whether that was their own call, whether it was a team call, it doesn't matter. There goes Laho around the outside. Taras will be diving in anyway. Alex Laho will take the lead of the race, as Jack Mayer also comes into the pits for what will be a set of intermediates. But look at the rain coming down even more. The dry line has disappeared. And I'm wondering, maybe we're not too far from wets if the rain continues to fall at this intensity. Let's see what tyres Mayer and Taras go on to, because if they're at a point where they've stayed out next lap, no. So Mayer's going on to inters. Taras on slicks again. He's made a mistake. Taras has selected the wrong tyres.
Updates. No, it's updating. He is on the inters. He's not completely silly.
My heart jumped in my mouth there for a second. So he is on inters, R-Factor 2, just having a little bit of a moment. I was going to say, because it should be everybody coming in for inters at this point. Herlock in for inters in the Valley Esports box. Makes his way out once again. David Friedhoff also in for inters in the True North car. That very black and grey looking True North car, with all the rain that's fallen on it, creating that shady pattern.
Third stop for Friedhoff then. He did. Was that free? Yeah, he's been in the pits more times than anyone else, I think, poor David Friedhoff, because he keeps being on the wrong tyre at the wrong time. He keeps switching to dries, then it starts raining, he switches to wet, and then it dries up. So it really just shows you can take the gamble, and sometimes it goes completely against you, and then you're just suddenly in a position where you've got to react. Dominic Kurashavin, interestingly, has gone for the full wets, as has Pizgazan. So they are thinking the storm is just absolutely going to arrive. And judging by what's happening at the moment, I think they might be right, Russ.
That might be the right call. It might be a lap or two before we get to truly wet conditions, but that could be a lifesaver for them, because I was just thinking, as we saw a shot along the Kemmel Straight a moment ago, the rain was coming down and you can see the spray getting worse each and every twist and turn they take. Maxime Bulio is probably blind right now, can't see a thing with all the water that's getting kicked up by Joseph Herlock in front. Let's see if anyone else dives into the pits for the wet tyres on this lap, because it is, look at it, it's vertical. Even on the inters, they're now struggling for grip. They've got to come back in for wets very, very shortly. And did I say the rain was vertical? I meant it was horizontal. It is lashing it down. Liela, who's in for wets? Singh stayed out. So Laho's decided it's time to come in. One lap, and he's decided, nope, it's too wet. I've got to go for the wets. Singh, though, has stayed out. Now that's interesting. Road to Formula, they've split that strategy. Jack Mayer might slide back up. Taras in. So the front runners going split. Some going wet straight away, some not. Jack Mayer gets out into P2 as there's a yellow flag in sector 2. God has breathed as it was there. Let's see if Laho is quicker on the wets, but look at the rain now. It's got to be quicker visually anyway. It looks sodden out there. Now there's a big yellow flag out in sector 3. I wonder if someone's met the barrier. Goes away though, hopefully everyone okay. Alex Laho, is that the right call? Is it another lap away? Or maybe it's not quite well enough, or was that it's saying it's a set of inters there for Alex Laho, but that should update to a set of wets, and indeed it is a set of wets on the live timing
screen.
so that will update, and there you go.
So
it is now set
traffic in front of him.
Sorry for butting in there. It is, and now a set of wets confirmed on the side of the car for Alex Laho. Yeah, Taras had an 8th. He's kind of had some real traffic, but those drivers in front still on intermediates, still yet to pit. Yellow flag in sector 3. Laho starting to gain on Jack Mayer in front, who's also starting to gain on Sandeep Singh. Wonder if Singh just taking it a little bit easy at the moment, but they've got a box soon. Look at how much more grip the wet tyres have now. Through goes Oliver Taras. That was done in the blink of an eye. It's wet conditions here at Spa. We've gone from a wet qualifying to inters to dry to wet once again. It's lap 23 at 36, and it is anybody's guess what way this race is going to go. It's anybody's guess who's going to be on top. Because if you're on the intermediates right now, you're just desperately trying to make it back to the pit lane to get on a set of wet rubber. Look at the spray, look at the rain, look at the standing water on the track. Yellow flags popping in and out of appearance every few seconds as drivers glide their way off onto the grass, off onto the runoff. Let's see if Mayer comes in. He surely has to. No. Wow. Jack Mayer doesn't come in. Sandeep Singh didn't either.
Well, they've got to risk it, haven't
lap.
they? And hope that the rain goes away. But we're seeing this rain is just going to stay, this thunderstorm, probably till the end of the race then. As you see, tucked in right behind Dennis Urban, who Taras passed earlier. Van Boosel has crashed out on the inters as well. So there's a leaflet out there. Bilio sticks to the outside on the inters. Is he going to be able to switch his way past Dennis Urban? Yes, he is. Urban is pushed wide. And up the inside goes Michel Galker as well. But Galker just doesn't get the exit that he needs, and Urban is going to stick on the inside at La Source here. So Galker needs to be careful he doesn't trip up over Urban here. I don't think quite has the pace. 2:09 last lap around. Although, of course, those who pit are sending slower lap times. And now Taras on the back of Joe Herlock, another who's just stayed out on the inters and gambled here, hoping the rain will go away. Taras is going to breeze around the outside, and that's up to 6th already. Now 7 seconds to Wasserman ahead of it.
And Busel down and out of the race. Unfortunately, another DNF there, this time the Valet Esports driver. That's now 6 DNFs. Galker goes through there, or maybe should I say tried to go to... Oh no, he did go through on Maxime Bulio. These guys all running the intermediate tyres, and all of them just desperately trying to find any patch of racetrack where there's grip. Just the cars moving about in a straight line, let alone a corner. Bulio a little bit wide there, trying to take more of a wet line to no avail. And at this point, it's survival while you're on the inters. It is very much survival, whether you're banking and staying out and hoping that the rain eases off, or you're going to come in at the end of this lap. You just need to keep it on the black stuff. You need to keep it out of the tyre barrier. Oh my goodness me. As I'm saying that, it's too wet for inters. You've got to come in for wets now, Ed.
Yeah, we were having a massive moment at Pouhon there. I'm still not quite sure how he managed to hold on to that, but lightning quick reflexes from the Canadian. I did keep calling him the Frenchman. Maybe he's a French-Canadian. And there's my defense on that. But Lou's already caught Mayer here, and this is going to be very, very straightforward. Jack Mayer has got nothing to fight with at this phase, and surely even Sandeep Singh is going to be caught rapidly here by those on the wet tyres. Taras actually looking in a very, very good position now. He caught half a second in the first sector on Wasserman, and then another whole second in the middle sector. It's the middle sector where they're really gaining time on those wet tyres here, because that's where all the corners are, of course.
Of course, and as well, you've got a lot of corners that are off camber, and because it's coming downhill as well, that's where all the water likes to puddle. Laho, a formality at this point, up into P2. The wets are the tyre of choice as it stands. If the rain will ease off, time will tell, but you've got to think the inter-gamble potentially hasn't worked. Staying out, it's been a race of up and down, as there's an all from Ed Hunter.
I've just looked at weather radar. It says rain ending in 18 minutes. Is that going to be 18 minutes that suddenly turns into 5 or 10 minutes, or 18 minutes that just keeps being delayed, like a lot of these weather radar reports seem to? As we see action middle of the pack, I think Kurashavin, there was a battle behind him between Filin and Urban. I think Dominic Kurashavin has just made a few places on the wets then, behind Stephen Lex. So, whoa, round goes! Oh. That must be Urban, Rouge, and he somehow kept it out of the wall there.
Wow, great save there. Luckily, no one coming through. Radion behind him as well to collect him. Dennis Urban, oh, that was a scary moment for him. I'm sure might need a new race suit after that one. Great save, though, as Thailand continues to fight Koroshavin in front. And it looks like the rain has eased off a little bit. But has it eased off enough? Or is it going to get heavier? Or is it going to stop? Nobody knows what's going on. Not even the weather radar knows what's going on at this point. It is chaos at Spa. And we are witnessing an all-time great GPVWC race right now. Just sit back and drink it in at home. This is electric, and it is anyone's idea who's going to be on top. Singer's stayed out on the intermediates in the race lead, or Laho on the Wex closing in. And look at that, it looks right now actually that it's raining heavy down at the bottom part of the circuit, not raining at all at the top of the circuit. That's the opposite of what we saw a few laps ago. As there we see that's Stephen Lex out on Maxime Bulio. Wets on Inters, again pretty simple. Leaves the door open on the inside, wants to be fair, wants to give Bulio space, but then has the inside for the left-hander at the bus stop. And Lex out will get on through unless Bulio fancies a look into last source. But I don't think they will. I think they'll relinquish the position, admit defeat in this case. The tyre advantage of the wets just too great right now. Laho is really carving into Sandeep Singh's gap as well. He's just done 7/10 of a second in the last 30 seconds. He is really closing in. 10 laps left to go. You've got to think if the rain stays as it is, if the rain doesn't... Oh, my goodness me!
Fidok!
That is David Fidok. Somehow, Maxime Bulio has not slammed into the back of Fidok. Oh my goodness me, that could have been an airplane crash. What happened to David Fidok? He was on the wets as well.
No, he was on Inters. It switched him to full wet, so he's right behind the Gallery 82 of Galka here. Just gets a little bit too close over the curb, and he's a passenger from that point into the wall and doing a huge spin. But yeah, Bulio just reacts in time because he's right on the edge of the racing line there, isn't he? And that really ends a horribly unlucky day for David Fidok. He had the pace for a lot better today.
Yeah, disappointing day for Fidok. And, well, that's not how he would have wanted it to end. But goodness me, what a crash, and great avoiding action from Lexau and Bulio as well to not get involved. Oh, that was a real heart-in-your-mouth moment there, wasn't it? We know that Radion can be a very dangerous corner. And, well, that's not what you want to see when you come over the top of the hill as a stranded race car lying in the middle of the circuit. But luckily, Fidok was not collected by anyone. He's now down and out of the race. Dexter's also gone as well. As is, yeah, so no, Van Bues already went. We've lost Josh Dexter as well. That's a shame for him. No, he was having a lot of support in the broadcast chat, so a lot of upset people, I think. So Josh out of the race, as well as David Fidok. 17 runners left in this one on lap 27 of 36. And again, it's a race of survival as it stands. Just trying to keep it on the black stuff, especially if you're still on the intermediate tyres. As it stands, though, Ed, you've got to think that Alex Laho's probably in the prime position to be on the top step at the end of it on those wet tyres.
I think the gamble is that he's just not going to catch quick enough. So 2:01.9 last lap for Lahu. Singh's lapping in the 2:03.1s then, so nearly 2 seconds a lap quicker. But yeah, looks like Bulio is pitting as well, so he's decided to bail out and go for the wet tyres from the Inters then. So that's an interesting call there from Fusion. Surely that's what he's going to do here, rather than pitting for... Oh, is that another set of Inters potentially going on there? So maybe the Inters were just wearing out then. But yeah, Taras is also lapping 2:02.5, so he's 9/10 quicker than Vasserman ahead. He's halved the gap. It was 7 seconds, it's now 3.7 seconds. But Taras, he's gone from maybe looking at a podium to probably he's looking on. This is what happened to Bulio. Okay, he had a big crash off track and lost his front wing, so that would explain why he went to the pits then. He's got it wrong at Paul Frere coming out of Stavola.
Yeah, I was going to say he looked like he was sat stationary for quite a long time in his pit box, so clearly getting a new front wing put on by the virtual pit crew. Real shame for Bulio, having a great race. But still in it, still time to go. Let's see what the Fusion Racing driver can do. The lone Fusion Racing driver in this race to recover from that mistake and that incident. Laho Mayer currently 2.7 seconds behind. He's 7.5 seconds away from Sandeep Singh in the race lead. So lap 28 of 36, 8 laps left to go. I wonder if visually you can tell the rain's eased off. Last lap he was only 5/10 quicker. maybe the rain has started to pivot back the way of those on the intermediates, and maybe that gamble for Sandeep Singh, which for a long time was looking like the wrong decision, maybe it was the right one to be on, because right now Laho is not catching him fast enough to get to him at the end of the race. So Sandeep, if he can keep it on the track and keep putting good lap times in, is also in a very good position. It could be either Singh or Laho winning this race. Mayer doesn't look like he's quite got the pace, but again, we have to wait and see what the weather's going to do. But right now, it's got to be between Singh and Laho for the race win. The two championship leaders.
Yeah, and it was... Oh, sorry, you cut out there, so I thought I had to...
Yeah, sorry, my internet died for a whole second. As I was about to say, Laho has a 44-point gap to Singh.
Lexo on the outside of Galka for 8th position into Lecom. Is there going to be enough space? Lexo on the full wet tyre just about squeezes his way through. Michel Galka has to concede, albeit very, very reluctantly indeed, sticking right to the back of the red van there, but... yeah, the full wets still providing that little bit more grip at the moment. But like you say, Ross, Alex Laho's not quite catching quickly enough with the laps starting to run out. And it's a similar situation for the other full wet runners of Taras. Even Lexo might not gain as much as he probably would have hoped here. So it was a calculated gamble. And like I said, conditions just seem to be changing all the time here. I wouldn't be surprised if it suddenly dries out at the end of the race on the final couple of laps.
Honestly, at this point, Ed, it would just be it would be a wonderful way for this race to end, and it would fit the story of the race perfectly. But we'll wait and see. Lap 29 of 36. Road to Formula, they've played their cards smartly here. They were lucky that both of their cars were running up the front of the pack when the likes of Jack Mayer, Jan Dragoon, Oliver Taras, they were all kind of there on their own. So they could afford to stick one car on the wets and keep the other one out on the inters to see which one is going to be the best and see which one would be the right strategy to work on. And right now they're running 1-2. Everyone else like Taras and Dragoon, Jack Mayer as well, they're out there on their own. They had to make the decision themselves of what they were going to do. It's a lot easier when you got two teams or two teammates running inside the top positions from a strategy perspective in conditions like this. So Lexo currently running P8, as we can see on your picture. Michel Galka just behind him. Wets still look like the best tyre to be on, but the advantage not as pronounced as it was a few moments ago. When I say that, Lexo's just gone a second quicker, or nearly 2 seconds quicker on the previous tour, and Michel Galka. But the gap at the front between Singh and Laho, it's not coming down as quickly, I think, as Alex Laho would want. With only a handful of laps left in this race, it's just under 7 seconds. And he's only really chipping away a couple of tenths a lap as it stands. Last lap, indeed, it was only 3 tenths quicker. And while it is quicker, that gap is too big to really only be kind of closing in that distance each and every lap. So maybe Singh has played a masterful gambit on this occasion. On board, meanwhile, with Dennis Urban in the PZZW car, chasing down the TTS of Lucas Thyland. These guys are both on the intermediate tyre. Unfortunately, Urban not able to find a way through on that occasion, but he is right on the gearbox of the TTF and pushing very, very hard. He was a few tenths quicker on the previous tour as well. The number 21, can he find a way through up into P11? Lap 30 of 36, Ed. And the rain, I think, has definitely eased off. So maybe the inters, well, we've seen the inters have started to come back into their own a little bit. They're not the quickest tyre, but they're a lot quicker than they were just a few laps ago. Maybe it was the right decision to stay out on the inters and just deal with that downpour when it came.
Yeah, and someone like Jan Dragoon really took the risk there, as we see a yellow flag in the final sector there that's holding for quite a while. And it's Taras. Oliver Taras has made a mistake. And, oh, he's crashed out! Oh, it's horrible, horrible bad luck for the Brits. Just before bus stop, he's had a massive off, and the front of his car is totaled, Ross.
That's a real shame. How's this one happen? That looks like it might have been a mistake on the exit of Blanchimont. And the momentum of the car is just, no, it wasn't. What's happened to Oliver Taras here?
Full wets as well. Oh,
that's a wheel failure. The car was the front wheels are pointing straight to the left. He hit the brakes and the thing just turned. That's an equipment failure there for Oliver Taras, 100%. We'll have to get that confirmed from him. But yeah, look on board. He hits the brakes. Yeah, that's an equipment failure from the steering wheel for Oliver Taras there. That's a real shame for him. He was having a great race. but something's gone wrong. He hit the brakes and the thing just went full lock to the left. And, well, when it's done that and the barrier's that close, you can't do anything.
That's gutting. He did nothing wrong there. And Taras really deserved at least that 6th place that he was running in. There was still maybe a chance he could have caught Wasserman as well. But that means we've got 15 cars running now, so everybody is going to score points. And for PZZW, they're looking good for their first double points of the season. And Urban wants to get into the top 10 for the 2nd time this season. And Filin holding him at bay in his first drive for TTF here in Superlights then. So Luca Filin, the Super Swede, proving himself a tough nut to crack for the Serbian driver behind him.
Yeah, not quite able to make a way through is Urban at the moment, just sitting comfortably in his spray. I know he'd love to be inside the top 10.
Slovakian, not Serbian, sorry. Dennis.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of close to Serbia. It's you know, it's not too far away. Same region of the world, both start with an S. I'll give you that one.
It makes an awful big difference to Denny, so I'll try and correct myself now.
Yeah, we'll try and correct that. But as I was saying, yeah, he's just not quite got that pace to really poke a nose and challenge Thailand at the moment. But I think they are both closing in on Dominic Koroshavin in front of them. The Alfa Sierra driver currently sitting in P9. He qualified well down the order, so it's an amazing job for him to end up there. I think he may have.
Wet as well.
He is on the full wet, so I think he's not stopped again for the Inters. He's stayed out. Yeah, I think that's what's happened there. So Urban, on his own, it looks like not quite able to have the pace to launch an attack at the moment. But if they do close up to the back of Koroshavin, that could create a bit of traffic for Thailand. That could be the opportunity that Urban needs to slide his way through. These guys going on to their 31st lap out of 36. 5 laps left to go in this one. And well, this is the battle that we're watching right now. Up the front, excuse me. Sandeep Singh. That gap has stabilised around about 7 seconds, 6.5 seconds.
It was slower that last lap by 2 tenths than Singh, actually.
So, yeah, Sandeep Singh, I think, of course, touch wood, pending a disaster, might have got away with staying out on the Inters. It might have been the right move to make. As it stands, though, Dennis Urban, this could be an opportunity now with the slipstream. Thailand all the way to the inside white line. Urban to the outside. It's going to be who's later on the brakes as they're side by side into Lacombe. Urban, unfortunately, can only get a quarter of the car alongside. He's had to back out of that one and will have to stay in P11 for the time being. Just not quite got the pace to really draw alongside Thailand at the moment. And we'll be going on to lap 32 shortly. As I say that, we go on to lap 32. And with each passing lap, Sandeep Singh, that little voice in the back of his head that can hear him crossing the line and celebrating victory is going to be growing louder and louder, because the road to Formula Team boss is 5 laps away and it's a 7-second gap back to Alex Laho, and it's a gap that has not been changing much at all over the previous 3 or 4 laps. Sandeep Singh, I think, is now the prime candidate to take the checkered flag.
Indeed, remember last season he got just a single win. Last 2 seasons actually for Road to Formula, he's just got a single win to his name in each of them. So far this season he's got 2 wins and now he's going for a 3rd. So Sandeep Singh having what is probably his best Superlight season to date. And yeah, he really, of course it was a gamble, but Lahu went aggressive, pit for the wet tyres when the rain started coming down, and now has to sort of deal with them not quite being the right tyre to be on. At least he is still just lapping slightly quicker than Mayer behind. So I think Mayer 4.4 seconds is not really in the battle, or a second then. So yeah, it's difficult to really pick a driver of the day today, because I think the good drivers are really the ones that have all survived. The 15 that are still running at the moment. Touch wood, 4 laps to go, they all get to the flag. But Denny Urban is really putting the pressure on Luca Filin, and Filin responding pretty well here. Helps us, of course, that he's getting a little bit of tow from Koroshavin, but also that spray will not be helping visibility one bit. So I'm sure Luca Filin would much rather clear Koroshavin as quickly as possible. But with Urban all over the back of him, it's not an easy job being sandwiched in like this.
No, it's not at all. Koroshavin as well will be desperately wanting to hold on to that P9 as they make their way to Lacombe. Koroshavin, of course, well, I mean, of course he'd love to hold on to that P9, but the Ukrainian driver, who's unfortunately for him not had the best of seasons so far, but it's been, you know, it's been a respectable one nonetheless. He's had a handful of points finishes this P9 would be his joint best finish of the season. He also finished in P9, or no, he hasn't finished it. He finished in P9 back in Spain. He actually got 4th place back in San Marino, so that wouldn't be his second best finish, should I say. But we wanted to hold on, get some more points here. Of course, a few DNFs along the way, a couple of disqualifications actually as well, which I think were for track limits, and failing to serve penalties back at the opening rounds. So the Ukrainian, let's see if he can hold on to that position in the Alfa Sierra car. Looks like he's pulled a little bit further away from Lucas Dylan in the middle sector. Maybe in the middle sector, the wets are still the tyre to be on. Through the opening sector, though, it very much looks like it is intermediate territory. And as I say that, actually looking at the gaps, Laho is now 5.5 seconds away from Singh. He's gained a second somewhere on the previous lap. I wonder if... No, he just had a very good lap. It doesn't look like Sandeep Singh set a slow lap anywhere. So maybe the wets are starting to come back into their own with a handful of laps left to run. Let's wait and see. Looking back, though. Yeah, but well, it's anybody's guess with this weather, Ed.
Yeah, I wonder how many more vague statements I can say in response to. But yeah, it was interesting because Singh dropped into the 202.2, so his previous lap, it was all starting to equalise with all of them in the sort of mid to low 201s. So yeah, the wet runners just starting to have a bit of a reprieve, and it's all down to that middle sector, like you say, Ross, where they've got the most grip. But of course, the sector where you can overtake the easiest is that first sector, and that is where the Inters really thrive, and the wets are starting to struggle a little bit in these later phases, especially.
Absolutely. Looking back with Thailand.
Oh, here he comes.
There he goes. Hello. You've suddenly seen a peering out for Sierra car on the inside. Lucas Thailand around the outside they come. Koroshavin still holding on though, fighting tooth and nail for that P9, and they're still side by side on the run down to Bruxelles. But it will be Thailand who's there. No, it's not quite going to be Thailand because Koroshavin's still there as they're neck and neck through Bruxelles. Will be Thailand with the inside into Speaker's corner. Koroshavin still holding on. They've been side by side for the entirety of the first sector now as they're coming to Puon. Looking to the outside goes Koroshavin. This time I think Thailand. Oh, that is really, really close. Finally, Thailand squeezes through. Koroshavin's just running off the road trying to find a gap. And it's almost front wing to rear wheel. All the while, Dennis Urban sitting there waiting to see if he can find a way through. Lucas Thailand finally gets the move confirmed. But goodness me, Koroshavin made sure he fought for that one. What an excellent half a lap that was between those pair. Brilliant racing, super, super aggressive, but the utmost respect shown between rivals, leaving it all out on the racetrack. Thailand slides through into P9. Can Dennis Urban slide through into P10 as well as they head into the bus stop? I don't think he'll be launching an attack into here, and indeed he doesn't. Actually backs out a little bit just to maybe give himself a run into La Source. But Koroshavin still there. Thailand ain't that far in front. Could still be a fight on. They're starting lap 34 of 36. I think the Inters are once again the tyres to be in, because I'm using Sandeep Singh essentially as my metric for what tyre is the better performing one. And the gap has started to extend ever so slightly once again between Singh and Laho. So I think the Inters once again the tyre to be on. And you can see Thailand starting to pull away from Koroshavin. Dennis Urban right on his gearbox as they fly through Eau Rouge and coming down the Kemmel Straight. This should be pretty easy for Dennis Urban, using the momentum, using the slipstream, and using the outside to blow on past. That will be surely Dennis Urban up into P10. Koroshavin, unfortunately, from P9 to P11 in the space of roughly a lap. But boy, oh boy, did he put up a fight for it. And he can hold his head high with a great display of defence from the Ukrainian.
Yeah, you could tell Koroshavin knew he was much stronger on the wets in sectors 2 and 3. And he might have a counter-attack here on Urban, but I think Dennis has sort of done enough. He was very sensible to wait for that main Kemmel Straight, really, which was really his best chance to get through on the Inters then. Interestingly, previous lap, Alex Lahu actually set a faster lap than Sandeep Singh, 201.7, Sandeep Singh 202.0. So Alex Lahu's, he's not given up yet, but he's running out of laps here. He just hasn't been gaining consistently enough. And those on the wets are all in a sort of a similar position then. So those who gambled on the Inters, incredibly, are going to hold on here. I think the only one who went for Inters who really probably regrets it is Maxime Bouliot, who did only 6 laps on the Inters. Now has done about 7 on a fresh set of Inters, but he's not really been lapping quickly enough to get back into the top 10. For Dennis Urban and PZZW, they're going to come away with a load of points, which is pretty rare for them to get a double points finish here. So they've done a great job to survive the chaos today. But it's this man, Sandeep Singh, who gambled big and is going to come away, if he can just hold on for one more lap, with the biggest prize of all, as we see yellow in the first sector. Oh, and is that Galka missing his front wing?
Yeah, it is. What's happened to Michel Galka? Got it wrong coming out of last source, and that's a long way to go. Yeah, I think he spun it round on the exit of the last source and just nosed it into the pit wall. Let's have a look here, and gets the throttle, or just hooks the curb, and yep, into the second part of the pit wall, the sports car pit lane. And that's a long way to go without a front wing. It's soon to be one more lap, though, for Sandeep Singh. He's got the fastest lap of the race as well, set to pick up a maximum 26 points from this one. And that'll get him 6 points closer to his teammate in the championship. It'll be, I believe, 38 points if my maths serves me correctly. The big one, though, championship-wise, I'll just touch on it briefly as Singh does start his final lap. Yeah, the big one is the DNF of David Feilock. He's P4 in the championship. Came into this race 27 points behind Jack Mayer and only 15 ahead of Vincent Gutt. Of course, Gutt also a DNF, but this is going to allow Jack Mayer to really pull away from him and cement himself potentially into P3. And he's only 7 points coming into this round behind Sandeep Singh. So Jack Mayer still very much in this championship fight, but after this one, there's only 5 rounds, so time is ticking away. For Sandeep Singh, what a strategy it was from him. Gambled it, staying out on the inters. And for a long time, it looked like it wasn't the way to go. But now, he's only got a handful of kilometres left to go, Ed. And, well, he's currently sitting very pretty in P1.
Yeah, on a day where the weather was so difficult to predict, Sandeep Singh, that in the end, played it cautiously. He only did 3 laps on dry tyres in this race. Otherwise, he's just stuck it out on inters. And maybe the cautious call, but it was the right one ultimately today, as we see Galka continuing to struggle. He's surely going to lose 8th to Filin and 9th to Urban as well then, without that front wing. And he's not... Oh, he should have pitted, surely. Should have pitted, even with 1 lap to go. It's reckless to continue out in wet conditions with no front wing whatsoever. So Galka, in his desperation, I think he could fall foul of the stewards here. And surely this is going to end in tears if he doesn't let Filin and Urban through here.
Yeah, that won't end particularly well. I don't think it'll either be in a barrier or a very stern talking to from the GPVWC stewards. But Sandeep Singh, what a drive it has been, mastering the conditions on the wrong tyre for most of it as well. And he's coming round Blanchimont for the very final time. No one in sight for the team boss at Rosa Formula, just the bus stop to go. He has negotiated the river that has been Spa today with absolute mastery, and he will take the checkered flag. Sandeep Singh, race winner once again in GPVWC Superlights, and that one has got to be the sweetest of the lot. His 3rd win of the season, and what a performance it was on the intermediates while the rain was hammering it down, sticking it on the track and staying out there to hold on. Alex Lahope comes home in P2 with Jack Mayer holding on for 3rd. Jan Dragoon, what a drive from him as well, from very far down on the grid to get up into 4th place. That is excellent from the Czech driver. David Vassman crosses the line 5th, and Joseph Herlock in P6. Michel Galka should be falling back to P11 here, maybe even P12. Again, as you said, Ed, I think in the desperation, he thinks he'd lose less time if he stayed out on track than in the pit lane, but I'm not sure how kindly the stewards will look at that one. The Polish driver, though, you've got to hand it to him. Doing 2 laps of Spa in the wet with no front wing is quite impressive. So fair play to Michel Galka. I believe he will definitely be dropping
harder for himself than he really should have. But oh, look at this. He's going to go all the way off track. Kurashov, and he's surely going to attempt to move there. He can't defend this, surely. Oh, but he's going to try, which is not, I think, the most sensible move. And look at this, steaming in comes Florian Geyer in the chaos there. So Florian just ultimately late on the brakes, hoping something would happen ahead of him. Ultimately, it didn't. So Galka is going to, as a roadblock, hold on to 10th. But the stewards are not going to be happy that he crashed out with 2 laps to go, decided to carry on with no front wing. And there's Bouliou, 5th on the grid, down in 13th. The strategy really went against him there. It was that second stop. Potentially there was something else that went wrong there, because I think he could have easily got that those the inters he had in the previous stint. 6 + 9 laps, that would have been just 15 laps. He could have easily managed that to the end. So it was an unscheduled stop. That's cost him a load of points. But probably not as unlucky as poor Oliver Taras today, who I think deserved at least a 5th or 6th place and was running in 6th when he had that wheel failure. I think Oliver will be gutted, but he nonetheless really impressed today. So we shouldn't lose sight of that. But like you say, Jan Dragoon's got to be the big story, going from 19th to 4th and just off the podium. I did joke that I'd be amazed if he got on the podium. He very nearly amazed me today. I think I will say I am amazed.
Got to look at Joseph Herlock as well in P6. He started last on the grid, so a few monstrous drives here today. It is Sandeep Singh, though, who picks up his 3rd win of the season. Alex Laho in P2 with Jack Mayer rounding out our top 3. Jan Dragoon into P4, David Wasserman in 5th, and Joseph Herlock in P6. Stephen Lexau was 7th, Lucas Thalin in P8, and Dennis Urban P9. Michelle Galka rounding out our top 10. Again, we've got a whole host of DNS, but before we get to them, we've got Dominik Koroshavin, Ukrainian, unfortunately just missing out on P10, with Florian Gaia in P12. Maxim Bulio was 13th, Perjis Miron was 14th, and Mateusz Pishkan in P15. Here we go then. Let's get the DNF list done, shall we? Oliver Taras, David Fidok, Joshua Dexter, Jerry Van Bussel, Alexander Ragota, all of them lost for one reason or another, as well as Tom van der Voort, Remco de Joux, Piotr Adamczyk and Vincent Gutt, who we lost early doors to a network failure. Real shame for them, but Road to Formula, well, that's one way to celebrate, by destroying your team boss's car. Nice job, Alex Laho. Luckily, you didn't have to pay any crash damage on that one.
Maybe that's why Sandy decided to stay out, because that would have been what happened if they did the same strategy.
I mean, if I'm putting my NASCAR brain on, we could say that they did that on purpose to hide the fact they cheated, because that used to be a thing back in the day in NASCAR when they were doing burnouts. They used to purposely crash into the wall. They were doing burnouts to wreck the car and hide the fact that they were running illegal parts on the rear. Should we get some interviews done and out of the way then, shall we? First of all, let's grab in Stephen Lexau from Red Ven Racing. Stephen, if you can hear us, well, what a chaotic race that was at Spa. Wet, dry, all the way through. That must have been pretty stressful.
I mean, it just proves one thing. I can do anything I want. I can destroy the car in quali. I can start on the front row. I can do whatever I want. I will still finish in P7, I guess.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, my friend. But yeah, solid position for you once again. Again, as you said, P7, not too bad. You must be pretty happy with that. Again, dealing with the weather.
Yeah, we did a few last-minute changes. I had a little nap after work and then decided to do a few laps in the wet. Did a beautiful pirouette around radio, actually. And yeah, so I went up quite high with the wings, which helped us quite a lot. We gambled a couple of times in the race. The last one unfortunately didn't pay off. Otherwise, I think P4, P5 might have been in it.
You didn't go into the wet, Stephen. That was the final gamble. Didn't pay off then.
Yeah, I mean, we pitted one lap too late for the Indus as well. I mean, I was thinking about pitting, but then I forgot to select my pit, or I forgot to request the pit stop, which was, going to destroy my stop anyway, so I continued on, which wasn't ideal anyway. But apart from that, the stop from Intes to the Dries was good. I saved my tires a bit too much in the first stint. Still had, I think, 86% on my first Inter when we pitted. That's been the plus of the high wings. But overall, I think from P20 to P7, I think I can be happy with that. Still, unfortunately for Ollie, he had a wheel disconnect just before the end of the race. Was on for a great result. But well, he showed his net worth. He's done an amazing job in quali and the race, and he can be very proud of that.
It's very good of you to say, Stephen. So yeah, there was a good team result gone there, but still, you were there to back up and get that P7 when the opportunity was there. Like you say, you wanted many drivers to start right near the back of the grid. I think Dragoon was P19, finished P4. Herlock was right at the back of the grid, finished P6, just ahead of you. I say just ahead, it was about 22 seconds ahead. But still, that shows that you're one of many, many drivers that just absolutely outsmarted the rest of the field and found a way through. So well done on the P7, and we hope you enjoy the summer break.
Yeah, you will have to have the Italy one without me. I won't be there. I will
Okay,
be
but I
away
guess
for
you get an
work.
even longer break then.
Yep. So I hope you have a great round in Italy, some great fun there, some nice DRS trains.
That's awesome stuff. Thank you very much for talking to us, Stephen, and a great result out there.
Yep, see ya.
That was Stephen Lexout from Red Ven Racing. I think it's time that we talk to our race winner, shall we? Let's drag Sandeep Singh into the commentary box. Sandeep, if you can hear us well, that was a masterstroke staying out on the inters as the rain started hammering down. Ended up getting you the race win. Must be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I almost followed Alex in, and then I decided to go for just for another lap, just to see what would happen with the rain, and it ended up fluctuating. And even that lap extra I did, that's still considering pitted. I was very close to coming into the pits again, but I just hung on to it. Well, basically, Victor, my engineer, said just stay out, stay out, stay out, because he thought my pace was okay. So just did it in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was just we thought you were going to come in. Quite frankly, we were very surprised that you stayed out, and then for a long time it looked like Alex was going to catch you, and then the rain just eased off at the end. So that was great for you, and of course a great drive as well. But just talk us through that race in general, because obviously it was wet, dry, wet, and just chaos all the way through. And
You
there
didn't
were
make a good
points
start
where,
either.
yeah, no, you didn't make a good start as well. What happened there with that one?
No idea. No idea. I have no idea what happened. So I did literally use the same throttle input on my practice starts or whatever, and at some reason it just did not launch. I was like, oh, okay. And luckily I didn't get hit from behind. And yeah, so and I just spent the first lap just feeling what I had underneath me. I saw, don't know who was ahead of me, but he was on wet, so I managed to overtake him quickly. And then I saw my pace was okay, and I started catching the guys in front of me. And I know I kind of stuck with a dryish wing setting as well, which probably helped me when they was going to the dry phase. And then even actually when it was in the wet, this car still felt pretty decent actually. So and then it went slicks for like 2 laps. And it was a very tricky condition. I saw I think Jack spun in front of me, which helped a lot. Me and Alex pit the same lap. That was a team decision. That wasn't like, oh, we got muddled up. We did that on purpose because I didn't want to lose any more time to the guys behind. And yeah, then we called it correctly to pit on the inters because we pretty much got us the 1-2 in the end from that decision.
Yeah, I mean, of course, a great result for the team. But as well, for your own personal championship fight, I mean, that's crucial because, you're a little bit behind Alex at the moment, but that's mean you're able to close back in. So, you're still very much in the championship fight.
I wasn't paying attention to that.
I think
He was
the gap's
praising you.
30. Yeah, it's 38 points at the moment, so you're still in there. So 5 rounds left to go. Can you see yourself challenging Alex for the title?
No.
Oh, all right.
I mean,
then.
I missed a race already, so I was already handicapped with that. So it doesn't really, so not much I could do at the moment. Just at the moment, we're trying to just secure their team's championship because I think we have a very good chance to get it sorted out soon if we keep this form up.
We were saying in the broadcast, Andy, that you've got 3 wins in this season. Last couple of seasons, you only got 1 win in the whole season. So you've got more wins in this season alone than the last 2 combined. So from a personal level, you must be really satisfied with the job you're doing. There's been opportunities that have come your way, like today, and you've absolutely grabbed them with both hands in very, very tricky conditions as well. So you must feel happy with that.
I mean, last year I spun on lap 1 in the same conditions and out of the race.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is a good reversal. So, but yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, I got 3 wins so far. I mean, I wanted to win Japan and Spa. That was my target this season. So anything else is a bonus. But I mean, I don't know what tracks we've got. 5 races to go. I'm not really strong at any of the other tracks coming up after. So let's see.
I think you're being a little bit hard on yourself, Sandeep. You were pretty solid at some of the. You always seem to be in the top 5 anyway, no matter what, even on a bad day. So, so I think you're doing yourself a little bit down there, but especially after you just won a race as well.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I
Well,
guess
thank
we've
you very
reached the end of the road of this conversation, haven't we, Russ?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sandy. We'll let you go and enjoy the celebrations. A great race and congratulations.
Oh, also a team home win. Actually, I forgot to mention that.
Oh,
Oh,
of course, yeah.
great.
Team home win as well.
Yeah.
Congratulations
So-
for the team on that one as well. Team home win and 1-2.
Yeah, so it wasn't that bad in the end. Yeah.
That'll do. Thank you very much, Sandeep.
Thanks.
That was Sandeep Singh. Ed, if you would like to take the next interview, because I need to be really unprofessional and run and plug my laptop in
Sure
very
thing,
quickly.
sure thing,
So
right.
I shall
Let's
let
drag
you
in-
go ahead.
Let's drag in our pulsar and runner-up from today, and that's Mr. Alex Lahoo. So we're joined now by Rotor Formula's Alex Lahoo, just finished second in the Belgian Grand Prix. So Alex, unfortunately, at the end, going for the wets, it was a bold gamble. Unfortunately, the rain wasn't quite intense enough for long enough for you to catch up to Sandeep. In the end, you have to settle for being second in a Rotor Formula 1-2. But it was a very, very intense race. It was so difficult to know when to change tyres when the conditions were changing. There were about 3 or 4 laps in the middle of the race where it was dry conditions, and then suddenly the rain picked up again, and everyone had to make those decisions very, very quickly. You had to commit fairly early to the wet tyres. In hindsight, do you think it was the wrong call?
The wrong call for the wet at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hello guys. First of all, qualifying, lap of life. Okay, race. First part of the race, Jack overtakes. Jack overtook me. But then the tire wear came out. Yeah, the tires were out, and I was quicker than both Sandeep and Jack. So we boxed for mediums because the track was dry enough. Then we drove for a few laps, like 5 laps with the mediums. Then it started raining again quite heavily, so we went back onto the inters. And I took the decision personally to box us both on the lap. Because if we were to do one more, we would have been so slow towards sector 3 and 2. So there was no point in waiting one more lap. And that gained us so much time. Now, when a masterclass comes a blunder, I go on the wets for no reason, and I lose the win. No reason, because Sandeep and Jack were both on inters with no intention to switch. I just panicked because of the rain going up drastically, like 40% rain at one point, intensity.
It was a huge thunderstorm, but it passed over quite quickly. That was the problem. We were sort of trying to look at the weather radar and figure out what was happening, because the thunderstorm kept being delayed and delayed to the point that it dried out, and then suddenly it came in. So it looked like the right call at the time. But unfortunately, it's one of those things where you sort of got to predict the weather in advance because it's such a long race.
I mean, skill issue for boxing on the wets, I guess. There's no other way.
You're the only one to do it. We talked to Stephen.
Yeah, Stephen as well. he was talking to me about it. Like, it's because of you that I box on the wet.
We said it for no reason. You weren't trying to fit in.
Yeah.
That's not very Alex Lahoo like.
Yeah, I have no idea why he went on the wet. I just panicked and I lost the win because of it. But it doesn't matter because we got the 1-2 for the team. Home race as well.
Yeah,
for the team.
I think when Jack pit for the dries in the middle stint, he came out right behind David Wasserman, who was holding him up on the inters. And that
for the whole sector 2.
Ahead, yeah.
So we came back ahead of him, well not Sandeep because we did a double stack, so he had to slow down a bit in the pit lane to make the double stack work. But yeah, good race. Good race all in all. If I had to make if I had one word, well 2 words actually to describe the race for me was L strategy.
I have one word to describe the race: deluge. Especially the qualifying session, but even the race did have its wetter moments. But it was bizarre how it just kept raining and the dry line just kept holding.
Yo-yo. Actual yo-yo rain.
It was, yes. It was a bit like that Super League race at Hockenheim a few weeks back as well.
Pretty much, yeah. The rain was like trolling everyone for no reason.
You wouldn't know anything about trolling, would you, Alex? But anyway,
Hmm.
the championship's still looking good. Going into the break, you seem to be in very good spirits.
Wait, there's a break.
The win, I think so. Yeah, it's a break before Monza in a few weeks' time because I think if I just look at the
Wait a
calendar,
minute.
it's 10th of September is the next round, Italian Grand Prix, and it's 30th.
Oh
of
my
August. It's
god.
over a month away. Yeah, so you go into the break. I believe about 38 points ahead of Sandeep in the drivers, and with
Yep.
the
Correct.
Teams Championship more than 100 points ahead of Spark, especially after Vincent got disconnected early on as well.
Yeah, I was unlucky for Vincent. And pretty much we're leading by 130 points, so we've got good hopes of wrapping it up before Baku or maybe Singapore at last, if it goes well. Let me see. Italy. Yeah, 10th of September. Damn, that's a long time.
You should have believed me, man, when I said it was 10th of September. But
Oh,
anyway.
I wasn't sure. I'm like, wait, isn't there a race on the 28th or something? Nah, okay.
You can do one if you want. I don't know who else will show up. But,
Let's do like a racing with every driver.
Anyway, fantastic pole lap. A pretty good race despite the strategy. Like you say, there was the wrong call in the end, but it was so difficult to call. I don't think anyone is going to be too harsh on you for that. And you still come away with some very, very good points and in an extremely strong position with just 6 races left to go then. So congrats on another podium, Alex. And you are that one step closer to the title.
Yeah, thank you guys. I will see you in 1 month. But yeah, thankfully it was a wet race, because if it was dry, I would have been destroyed. I was so slow. Anyway, I'm gonna let Florian by because I'm wasting too much time now.
That's
So,
okay.
like,
We always enjoy
yeah.
chatting with you, Alex. And well done on continuing that massive championship lead.
Yeah, thank you guys and enjoy your week. No, enjoy your summer break.
Will do. Anyway, so as we let Alex Lahu from Road to Formula leave the commentary box, let's let in Florian Geyer, who finished the race in 12th position. So, Chaos Racing's very own Florian Geyer joins us now. Florian, a very, very up and down race. There was a crazy qualifying session where you ran quite high up until everyone pumped in some really, really good laps near the end. And you did pretty much the exact same strategy as Sandeep Singh in terms of you did 17 laps on the Inters, 3 laps on the medium tyre, I think, and then did 16 on the Inters near the end. We saw you had a very, very ambitious dive when Kurashavin was being held up by Gauka, who'd lost his front wing near the end. And the Gauka might be in trouble, so there's still, I guess, an 11th place up for grabs for you. But in a very, very chaotic race, appropriately enough, David, your teammate, finishes 5th, and you back him up with some good points in 12th. So overall, a pretty good day for you.
Yeah, I think you summarized my whole race, so I can leave the commentary booth again.
I'm just showing off my memory skills.
Yeah, pretty good. No, yeah, we had good pace, unexpected, especially in the rain. Like, I guess some maybe practice it, I don't know, but yeah, we had really good pace throughout quali, and we didn't have enough fuel for the last 2 laps, which is annoying because we was like P2 and P4 or P3 at that time. But
I think you were 3rd and 4th for a little bit before those last couple of laps were pumped in.
Yeah, 3rd and 4th, but yeah, there was that. Start was not really good. Had a bit of wheel spin and lost the place to Dave, and then I was stuck behind the guys on the wet tires. I had to go at Ragosa, the downhill right-hander, lap 5 or 6, something like that. He just closed the door and pushed me on the grass, and I spun around. My wheel was bent then, and I had to drive, like the wheel was not straight anymore when you're going straight, so it was pretty distracting from a memory point of view for the turn-in and stuff like that, and also cost me quite a lot of lap time. Like the whole car was blue on the damage, whatever it means. Like, I don't know. But yeah, overall, I guess for the team it's a good result. For myself, not so much, but it's a wet race, and I would say probably I'm the worst wet driver on the grid. Probably worse than some academy drivers. Not to disrespect them, but yeah, that's not
Well, I
my
think
thing.
you've got a fair bit more experience than some of the academy drivers, and you still
Uh,
finished today. There were quite a few people. There were like 9 drivers that didn't finish, and a lot of them crashed down. Not all of them got disconnected.
Well,
or
yeah,
had
I spun a few times as well, so I could have easily joined them. But yeah, last I had like 75 seconds of push to bars left because I was so far behind everyone else in the last 2 or 3 laps. Like I pumped it all in, but yeah, as you said, I think Galka will get a penalty for this front wing thing not repairing or whatever. So maybe
Yeah,
one
he
more
crashed
place.
at La Source with 2 laps to go, and then didn't
Yeah.
pit ahead of the final lap, which you're not strictly supposed to do. I've seen other drivers get in trouble for the same thing in lower
Yeah.
GPV categories. So I think Michal, who obviously had a great race up until that point, was running in 8th. It's unlucky for him, but unfortunately, I think that's probably going to be at least investigated. But nonetheless, from your point of view for Chaos, you were 5 points behind TTF, and with one of the TTFs in the form of Joshua Dexter not finishing, and the other being in 8th with Luca Filin, who had a good debut. Nonetheless, they scored less points than Chaos. So I think, even though you had that damaged car, getting those points was very, very important because that puts you into 7th in the teams table. Going into the break, we've got a month until the next race in Spa. So this is considering Chaos a completely new team of yours for this season. It's pretty well last couple of races, isn't it?
Yeah, like Dave's been consistently in a really good spot, I would say. Myself, not so much, but I think
It takes 2 to make a team, my friend.
I think I talked enough about my story and what's behind that. But yeah, I would say it's a bit on an upward trajectory for us. Though we're not really where we want to be. Like early season, when the cars were a bit more equal than right now, we was right behind Spark and Road to Formula, like right in the mix. We lost quite a lot on that. So, but yeah, it's still okay, I guess.
Nonetheless, there's nothing you lose that you can't gain back later on. And certainly, we've been very impressed by Chaos. And like you say, we know about the health issues you've been suffering. It's always good to see you on track and that you should be able to showcase your talent in some very, very challenging conditions. So thank you for coming to talk to us, Florian. And we wish you the best of luck for the final 6 races of the season.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Right,
Bye.
so as Florian Guy leaves the commentary box to celebrate a very, very hard-earned 12th that may yet be transformed into an 11th place, depending on what happens, of course. We can let Ross McIntyre back in. Ross, have you plugged in the laptop?
I have plugged in my laptop. It's not going to die on me before we finish off. And for my I mean, you know what laptop batteries are like. But great to hear from some of our drivers there. Yeah, great to hear from some of our drivers there. And well, Ed, what a race! I can't put it any other way. Just absolutely unbelievable from lights out to checkered flag.
Yeah, it was pretty bonkers in terms of how difficult it was to tell what the weather was going to do. There are a lot of drivers that tried to hedge their bets, stayed out too long in the inters, and then found themselves in the wall, and others who were just about able to hold on, such as Sandeep Singh, who of course won. And there were all sorts of gambles going on up and down the field, and a lot of drivers that started way down the order that were able to fight their way through to the front. I think the top 3, you got to give credit to them, but I think there were great drives from pretty much all the 15 that finished. And I think I would add Oliver Tarras, I think, to that group as well. So I think this is probably not the last time we're going to see Oliver Tarras in Superlights. So I think he can take a lot of heart from his performance today. But yeah, it's great to hear from Florian and Chaos. I think Wasserman went a little bit under the radar, but from how far down him, Locke and Lexo qualified, they all had very, very good drives today. And yeah, I think that's a great place to end. That's a great way to end this sort of pre-summer break part of the season with an absolutely insane race where the weather couldn't make up its mind to do pretty much what it was going to do throughout. Right, there was a thunderstorm that delayed so long that it got dry, and then when it finally arrived, everyone was exposed on the dry tires and had to immediately pit after like just a handful of laps. So I don't think it could have gone much more chaotic than that.
Absolutely. That's it then from GPVWC Superlights this evening. And that's it for till September now. We've got our summer break to look forward to. So we'll be back on the, I believe it's the 10th of September for our
That's
next week.
correct.
Some 4 weeks away. That's a long way away. But of course, Ed, you know, we've still got the Super League to come. They're here at Spa on Thursday as well. Maybe seeing Jan Grankvist putting one hand on the championship trophy. But that's all from us tonight. Thank you very much, Ed, as always, for coming along and jumping in the commentary box. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. As far as 11th hour races that I've been asked to jump in at the last minute, that's probably one of the very best ones. So, yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem whatsoever. It's a shame to leave you over the summer, but unfortunately, we all need a bit of a rest. But GPVWC Superlights will be back on the 10th of September when we head to the Cathedral of Speed, Monza. We'll see you then.